The Beta Black Tarot Deck. Rule card. Table of contents. For use when you're in too deep. A tarot instructional video teaching you how to spite yourself and become the point that will pierce the underworld. Press shuffle on the playlist for your 4-card smattering of semi-random gibberish. Or enjoy an idiot story by watching in chronological order, or watch in reverse order. Do whatever. I can't stop you. Synopsis. A black sheep steals away with a celestial steed and lets a demon ride it to survive. Or whatever. Feel whatever you want to touch on the cards. That's the whole point. Created by R. Bix. In conjunction with the thin fabric of existence rippling under the weight of nothing. I'm bored. Let's make a poem. Oh Lord, kiss me. Smatter me with a future of hope beyond concrete grey. Send the sky back its lightning and the dirt back its beasts. Untwist the tongues of my brothers and unlock their eyes. Grant me an inch. A fucking inch. Unfold, turn, and slide my pages past words. Or roll my bones into the floor dust and try to find a difference. Or just kiss me. Just fucking kiss me already. So I can find myself in a new place once more. Because you can't even fucking say the word sleep without motherfuckers wanting to lock you up. Or just beat me already. To an orange pulp. Because I swear I got nothing left. So do whatever. Turn to smoke. Turn back to the mistrust of others inherent in all things again. To a place with no one to tell you to turn back. The future. Happy Halloween. I am this close to picking through the grass, looking for shards of glass. Little minces of silver I can throw into the wind like a dandelion, then instantly regret only when I look at the floor. Foul little shits. The size of the goiters rolling on their face just cry to be lanced. And the pitch over the edge. The song and dance of a life's card being played is as worth to them as a cancerous snicker. Bars broken from and to, their teeths rotten. What an awful, awful price. Price? Prize? This Pentecost only ensures a double-double pledge next fall. One that gropes more earth than air. Incalculable. And they laugh. The only genuine laugh I've ever seen between their dull, paranoid, disingenuous, split-ended blades. It is how you know that they can lie. When they forget to hide their wooden bewails behind the creaks of the hinges of their cheeks. The absolute Lord's moat of these people. Can I get a damn, Daniel? 'Cause witches out here be straight-up downward-facing dog. A single grievance digs out and fills their entire stank, as if their weir broke. One single I'm sorry. It costs too much. Even when the whole offer is affered to a single angel. 1 penny. For that price. No! For that magnanimous weight. I will be without stead and live rather than die. I have decidedly chosen to smoke the bugs on the edge of the grass rather than pick up the pieces of your broken glass, O Lord. Walking door to door, asking for foodstuffs. Long live the heraldry of sweetness and laughter. Friendly legal, unholy words disclaimer. Bite me. Oh Lord, please, make me laugh. Wrap around my throat a divine olive branch of contempt, fair enough to choke a soul back into me. And for the love of yourself, grant the tears to fucking someone else for once so they may have comedy on their face. Because long-tipped tongue twizzlers of greened leather skin eat forever without vomiting. They tilt their necks and suckle at Soma with glorious peace, sure to never let a drop travel below their own chin. It's all theirs. The words stolen years ago, written in the stone they saw the curve on, are gnats to be trapped with black chain, as if the object of theft was where the value hid itself and not in the art of pilfering it. Their watered eyes and stretched crayons spout codes with open heart, and when the act falls flat, they can't feel why. It was never theirs to begin with, and even if they learned to use it, the steed of their tree of life never took root into the joke's truth. It is an empty play, believed onto a carnivorous, cavernous expanse of wall, a cruel bridge of thought, blatant vandalism for the sake of their own destruction because they won't do it for themselves. Prophetic real-world future reading. The card is torn. I think I can see it. So many accusations in the air, words I've never seen but everyone has talked to. Manifested social paranoia. This is why Grandma was a gambler. She never played for money. That was obvious from a yard away. She always pushed us away from her sister's table toward other circus games. And with all the boot lips pressed into the mud, the word to be mum about is delusion. Aren't they always so sure about what you think with the missiles in their mouth? And when you know wrong of their tails, they slander the holt next to their knuckles at anything smaller than their own. It is like they use the word as a weapon against you instead of hilt. Their cruel hands use bandages as blades, but all kinds of hands can use an edge as a brittle remedy to carve truth into bark. Clack, crack! Random consequence forced from on high. Good enough for a wood-bound wrench to believe in. A stiletto for no use but to tell you, ask again later, and skirt you into other arms. Or screams, this has never been drawn before with an empty wind behind it. I would say Grandma would laugh her holy heart out to know I saw this roll of hers work, but for some reason I know she is corking. 'Cause I see it on the others' faces. Their reactions to my density. Anyone can see that. Except me. Nostradamus' special formulae. Rub your bones and rip your skin. The morning's leash is loose today. Ceremonial wear and armor finally relax without fear that they will be worn outside. Common cotton rests comfortably in the sleep of daytime. And regardless of the light, my brow is always long and droopy, covering as much of me as it can. So I take a hike to use my legs normally again and let them touch the ground to the tempo of exercise, whilst tilting my head up to the clouds for change. I learned what I never knew I was never allowed to be taught my entire life. You ever flail so hard face first into soil that you see a chariot on high and scream, "There ain't no way that tripper is here"? If I tell anyone about this, then I'm dreamt of more fondly before a chain of voices links together. Then that little bit of trouble said to me, "That is the second time now." I thought, bit what was one? But realized that would have made it 3. He just drove away. Bit just drove away. Bitch rides swans. The lesson, it's okay to breathe for a second. I had never allowed myself that simple convenience. If anything was wrong, I must always diminish and kill the roar behind my heart. It's so much easier to do everything when you stop and take one literal, full, whole breath after a fuck-up, because it becomes easier to see where to go next. I kind of want to fuck something up just to see if that day tripper will me to do something. Maybe if I arch into the sun. At 2, the sun? The sun is my best student. I never see him, at least while the day is out. General forecast of egress. Wanting to be milled just to feel the touch of a hand petting your wheat. Handful of dick. Head full of confessors. Was that me? Nay, couldn't have been. Could have been crickets playing bow and arrows for all I care. Straight as the crow flies, matted hair and everything. Ahem. Your Honor, presented in my defense, I swear insanity on the good name of the Archangel Michael, as well as I know he was standing behind me when it happened. There's no way? You're a goddamn to believe it, because it's always fun to lash an accusation and confess it, right? Sir, he sees seas of stars. What a load of bunk. I sternly defend my ability to the moon. What? Let us fight about it then. It is just having anything to do. It is just having anything to do, that is. My fuck yours trulies are true. You don't know what that card means? A triangle to rip open preternatural wounds. That is the place to sow seeds. You don't know what that card means? A triangle to rip open preternatural wounds. That is the place to sow seeds. A triangle to rip open preternatural wounds. That is the place to sow seeds. Direction, willpower, and control behind the change and inevitable fate of unconscious intuition that may, in your name, reflect on awakening. All of the cards drawn upright. Here was a long list of fanciful words I have made public and hits you in the face like an ex-djinn. Your Honor, even a single finger, anything with a point, even the Lord of Plutocracy himself. Clause tables for words with tips. Honor, your sir. It is not that I don't trust people. It is that I don't have anything new to trust. Playing dumb games, cheating and using codes, it's so dumb when the best seed is the one that travels along the shortest route to give his fury to his pressings. Playing dumb games, cheating and using codes, it's so dumb when the best seed is the one that travels along the shortest route to give his fury to his pressings. A spike, a black hood, old bays full of anchors, ghost grammars. They let bugs eat her out. Who the fuck am I talking to? He has a pen in his pocket. I've got a single finger in my pocket and I pointed at things. That is all me. I sternly enshroud my ability to defend myself about courtly orders to an extent, and I'll make you remember them without your den of iniquity. It's an easy word to see, Princess, written all over my face with big, meaty grins and a witch soul. Damon Kin. So please sleep well at night, because I exist in all man's thoughts. Isn't that right? Then you say something along the lines with, you find this woman. Yes, right, with nasty frost novas, clawing to throw them. Unfortunate turning of the clock. I've simply lost track.
Grandma is old. Like goats on top of carts instead of in front. Old enough to say fuck the job, it ain't worth it, and go home cold. The kind with bold letters tied with road. that fold under the mold of her souls. But when I look at her abode, all I see is a dirty, decaying, smoldering toad and a cow chewing oats. I sat and said hi. Reekabudi-bududi. Tada howdy. I could do the main son. Howdy. I could be born weirdy. Author my way. I could be duasabriye. Horses eat hay. I could be in nisa biri to me out the dining. Times with grandma are full of stress. Thrown up, then tumbled forcibly down. She really lives like this, helpless and lost. She really lives like this, helpless and lost. She really lives like this. And the nerve of these people to take pay and toss her around on hay. I then say there is no other way. To which I plant an urge to flay wood. To which I plant an urge to flay wood. Open up, say ah. That's the word she asked me to remember. That's the word she asked me to remember. That is how I deal with the stress. That's how I deal with stress. Excoriate, basted, keel haul, lash, jaw, abrade, check. Lambaste and lambast, tongue lash, upbraid. Dress down, rebuke, rag, chew out, ball out, and castigate. Excoriate, basted, keel haul, lash, jaw, abrade, check. Lambaste and lambast, tongue lash, upbraid. Dress down, rebuke, rag, chew out, ball out, and castigate. Excoriate, basted, keel haul, lash, jaw, upbraid, check. Lambaste and lambast, tongue lash, upbraid. Dress down, rebuke, rag, chew out, ball out, and castigate. Cream. Ream. Kamaikri choirs. Choirs. Quite white. That is what I do. That is what I do. I carve, then I fill, then I look. I carve, then I fill, then I look. Big round rumps of soon-to-fade skin. Big round rumps of soon-to-fade skin. Pumpkin meat offered to border collies. No. I did in a 90. That's not what it is. Arise. Brooch, canvas, diptych, exterior, front, crop up. A smirch montage, coagulate. Spread motherfucking goddamn eagle, skin again. A smirch montage, coagulate. Spread motherfucking goddamn eagle, skin again. A smirch montage, coagulate. I could be a nankadi hadandi. Hoarfrost is what grandma says. A shallow, external semblance, shoal, two-dimensional cover, gaunt, besmere, pine, hardened, muck, cake, finger. Ideogram, gouache, arcade, dishonor, Saturn, sully, stain, soil, shallow. External, semblance, shoal, two-dimensional, cover, gaunt, besmere, pine, hardened, muck, cake, finger. Ideogram, gouache, arcade, dishonor, Saturn, sully, stain, soil, shallow. External. Semblance and shoal, a two-dimensional, cover, gaunt, besmere, pine, harden, muck, cake, finger, ideogram, gouache, arcade, dishonor, Saturn, sully, stain, soil. That's a rule of thumb, 20 to 10. I find words when I'm stressed and daub with finger paints, like grandma who told me once about a crossed lover's hot way. I get lost on the dict and lose the conversation as well. Not knowing where I am, I have no choice but to keep going and scream, "It was you." I get lost on the dict and lose the conversation as well. Not knowing where I am, I have no choice but to keep going and scream, "It was you." I get lost on the dict and lose the conversation as well. Not knowing where I am, I have no choice but to keep going and scream. So funny. I'd have to record it just to tear at myself that I could be so dumb in seeing it any other way. As if I don't want to sit in my own soggy swamp just out of spite. I crack soot under the foundation's nails just to fight my own self. I crack soot under the foundation's nails just to fight my own self. I could be a naive. You are so smart. For a short time, you can be as smart as me, at least. Brother, just trust me. Brother, just trust me. Pay me. I could do them day to day. It'll work, I promise. I could dig in nine kids by kin. It'll work, I promise. Like this, or do you want to leave more of my gut a little to the left when you gnaw it out? For my own sake? Like this, or do you want to leave more of my gut a little to the left when you gnaw it out? For my own sake? Like this, or do you want to leave more of my gut a little to the left when you gnaw it out? For my own sake? And do you realize I'm gobbling like a turkey at you right now? That I do so in front of a lord as well as a wishing witch? I'm gobbling like a turkey at you right now? That I do so in front of a lord as well as a wishing witch? Of course you pretend that you don't have real eyes. Because real conscripts reel into dentures and weaken fortitude, my dude. Because real conscripts reel into dentures and weaken fortitude, my dude. How do I know? As well as I know my own false words stole into the back of my hand. Now do this, do that, who's this, fuck that. Do this, do that, who's this, fuck that. I could be in nine to dia me. It is all nothing but noise. But will you trust my lies now? Have I yelled at you enough? Should I jazz it up? 'Cause you know what Grandma told me? Can I buy your optimism? 11 shillings, new guineas, sure. I'll rip my pants out and spray a magic trick into a worldy fog to a last count at the bottom of my palms full of coinage for your smile. All over the floor. Can I buy your optimism? 11 shillings, new guineas, sure. I'll rip my pants out and spray a magic trick into a worldy fog to a last count at the bottom of my palms full of coinage for your smile. All over the floor. I could be the one to them waken. New guineas, sure. I could be with them making dear. Well, excuse me, alphabet and daughter is the my own bill, excuse me. I could gain and then and to well. Exogius me be. So then they use me. I could be many thicky maze and thoughts a dale. Well, excuse me. And I ain't hear shit. Flush-faced and all. And I ain't hear shit. Flush-faced and all. I'm hit that window turned and I ain't hear shit. My grandma's brain is so whack that she's got oatmeal for eyes and they won't let me sit with her at bingo. My grandma's brain is so whack that she's got oatmeal for eyes and they won't let me sit with her at bingo. I can pray the guy those deals. Confusion bark tech and ingwe. Confusion bark tech. Kiss your own ears so plentifully that they break. Mean. I'm gonna do I ain't hear shit. After breathe on the nari to those breathe and breathe in distribute or be on me. Drinking leftover pumpkin milk for breakfast sounds like nightmares. School dreams are indeed the worst. I can still see people that I call friends in them like a cracked line of thought. And they're always the same. In the nightmares, you've forgotten which class is when and where. All of them. I was fortunate enough to have forgotten all of them before. The dreams, that is. The worst part is that the next day doesn't play to the same tune as these unconscious facts. Imagine being let down when you forget that celestial wings don't carry a human's weight into anti-gravity. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be. Horns in unison coming from a bar before noon, or the sun shining while everyone sleeps. Couldn't be. An image never told to anyone. Saw only in dreams before a single hair had been clipped on my head. At least, that's what the dream looked like. Some things I've only ever felt while asleep. Simple things that I question, things that every layman has kicked off themselves before. Comfort, longing, feathered qualm. Massive storms that put to shame the rain on the road that makes Quakers quip their squeaky foot hips. Things that have never made sense because they are inconsequential. Things I'm asking for but never said. No wonder why Grandma doesn't trust when people say she is sick. I see her face all the time. She looks fine. Elixirs? You can't buy that. No wonder why she doesn't trust it. Ask for different glass. Best to hogtie her because she's obviously thinking, planning, saving for later. See how they jump at any little things? Even dice break their focus, not because there is anything behind the numbers, but because they don't know what's in the red crystal's eyes, or how to read a daydreaming. See, another one? Trading well-taught fears fought with strife. 3 4s in a row. for again. They shit just as they are. It is pleasant when the wind is dashing the waves about. Who is crazy now? Are you dreaming? They say the dice must be loaded. The table is rigged. The floor slanted. In his hands a string, a technique, fancy dance. Con, it's a negative. Attack. I'm letting dreams out again. I see their hands lingering behind the twitch of their chins at a chance. Should I throw into the sewers or roads? Want to go for double or nothing, dog? The red glass in my hand? You sure? Throw at the treasury. Why not entertainment instead? Fraction demands. Accept or we will attack. I haven't seen a lucid dream in years.
I need to get out. Square walks aren't enough. Running like a madman is never enough. Getting dizzy is only fun for so long. I need something to do, but all I see when I open my eyes is this. All I imagine outside is marred, and it is so blurred because I know it is not true. But every tip of my tongue is followed by a back of my throat full of bile. But I'm also dead out there, and I'm dead in here, for a few more weeks until an extra few weeks until the end of my life. 6 feet underground. Inch. Same thing. Something new will sprout up and grant extra shade to rest under until roots touched frame again, screaming at me to put my grass back on. So true. How did we get here? Arrested, bound, confined. Verge, limit, end, hedge, line, rim. Convalescence? Snapback. Reanimation, more like. Quick reactivation. Mechanical nice. Yes. Yesterday's card. Oh, din of how he lost an eye. Oh, din of how he lost an eye. Oh, din of how he lost an eye. I need to get out. Square walks aren't enough. Running like a madman is never enough. Getting dizzy is only fun for so long. I need something to do, but all I see when I open my eyes is this. All I imagine outside is marred, and it is so blurred because I know it is not true. But every tip of my tongue is followed by a back of my throat full of bile. But I'm also dead out there, and I'm dead in here, for a few more weeks until an extra few weeks until the end of my life. 6 feet underground. Inch. Same thing. Something new will sprout up and grant extra shade to rest under until roots touched frame again, screaming at me to put my grass back on. So true. How did we get here? Arrested, bound, confined. Verge, limit, end, hedge, line, rim. Convalescence? Snapback. Reanimation, more like. Quick reactivation. Mechanical nice. Yes. Yesterday's card. Oh, din of how he lost an eye. Oh, din of how he lost an eye. Oh, din of how he lost an eye.
Story of tomorrow's life written the night before. As if any of my life was anything other than something else stuck onto me. I know that now, as true as I know, ether is a joke. If you had half a quarter of interest in my best interest at heart in your homes, you'd be chomping my ears off to kill that part of me. Like grabbing trash off the ground and finding worth in it, that's an unforgivable sin, good sir. Smoking the dirt, tumbleweeds of letters to ask for redemption. The thing killing me most inside my mechanical cade, smooth calming tar, is left out of the reckoning wholly. Oh, fuck you, retard. This is a foreign matter. Take my herb and scatter it into aether? Fuck you regards are not in order. You are wrong. You are dots, nothing more than a wall, right? A wall poking my shoulders, kicking behind my tongue, eating my food like a strange gourmand. I could D3 was an A. Should I even entertain the thought? The strange... What was Grandma's word again? I could giggle nothing dirty figure made the bibanitwendy. Psychopathy. Yeah, I guess I can take that one back too, even though it isn't me. Why man tarkika din gafri buizi? I fedika bri no 1,000 idel. And fendrinka bulstan Larry. Mendrake. Nothing personal to me. There shouldn't be any of that on my dish, but I apparently knew what a crossing meant since I was 6. And at this point, I'd rather see the quids in the crevices next to your dice cry over the gamble. Regardless of the facts I have to back them up, that even I can't understand with just this one card here. But I can lay a whole lot of them out on this table for you to see through. And you might only imagine what it is that you can feel through it. If you knew the truth, you'd know you're talking to a wall with me right now. And the comfort of wherever you can find it, even yourself. And Grandma's card, at the duel, like a bouncing of two things off each other. It's like a ball bouncing against a wall. I haven't gotten your message, I apologize. So I'm here to deliver my reply personally. To which he and his will directly have no idea what I'm referring to, because this is the first they've ever seen of me. Hopshot fruit, they think, probably. Maybe a kismet hap. Akidui di main. I'd like to talk about the resultant of a casualty issue. I'd love to think it. Instead, I'll sit and offer my hand over the table with my smile. Gobs and gobs of multiplicity, alongside fistfuls of alluvian space. So I just have to land on one in this game, right? Cool, I'll take your ring. What a stacked mess. Passels of bundles flop under the table without a trace of their sound. Excuse me. May I get a sheaf to write this down? Crack-a-jack, Jim Dandy Corker. Listen, I just came here upon request of my grandma. She needs a potter's field. Potful wads now. Surfeit throngs worked into a bonanza over much mysteries, and there's an intense turn about the room, behind the words, Die Man. Myriads of words, I.O.U. Oh, some her name? Laura Palm her. The hand that begins to turn me is very formal. I let him know I want all of this on a single sheet if possible, small as possible, as simply as possible, if at all possible. Good, sir. My guy, it's just a wild guess. I don't even know what to do here. Red diamonds, yellow bugs, green stars, blue rivers, pinks, even the color orange. Lucky marvels. Good, sir. I'll take a lemon at this point if it keeps a dram of fizzle off my dear earth. You give iotas? No? Damn, wit, no damn, bust, clinkers, duds, a fly speck of a name on paper with dust to scintillate your own senses? A good deed, even? Tonight's evening numbers. 6, 8, 11, 9. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake, I.O.U.
I was assaulted. How did it feel? There is a fine line between sensible beastly romping and throwing mice through snake stomachs. The line is usually drawn on the ground dust, but I can't find it anymore. It is the inspiration behind persecutions that matters. To throw a very sharp book at a mind in order to dull it is so vile even I won't touch it, oddly enough. And I could write the book on it at this point. So I eat any paper I can find to destroy that leak back into myself. I am not a coward. I am alone. Excessive severity in all its departments. Can I get a prism of light in here, my guy? A single ray of anything you offer up at breakfast. Something more than water. Dominoes fall on me, and I push them back up, and I play the dumb safe parlor games, and they peek in through my window whenever they think I sleep. Did you say that justly? Take my goddamn words out of your mouth. Or don't, who cares? Oh, just end my animata pia as an oath to further chains and just ice picks. Defending yourself just means you are guilty, and surrendering just means you are fighting back. And I tell them, today, I will bark at the shadow dog. Hordes can come in seconds and no word sways their minds. Their minds that are emptier than mine own, filled with coal. Blind to the truth, my eyes hide behind iris, but always are so certain of what is in there. Disgusting sleights and heights that none of their piss barley could raise. One word from me and my seed will grow into maize, and they will lose their own way. Then cry over things that happened before all this happened, like anyone cares. My life? Empty, save for a single spark. Empty save for a single spark. Honest, sir. Mental inspiration. I got you, fam. I got you, fam. I got you, fam.
Time to draw on a blank slate. I hate this part the most. The definite stroking of forevermore, unless in a quick bit I decide to change things back. But once I've forgotten about the choices, they become impossible to rewrite. A defaming portrait, a house stolen from rustlers, grafters, and sneak thieves by good honest pettifoggers, and then stolen unto me by sheer grace. Only makes me sit and hang about, wondering what first creature will come crawling through any knothole or pore. I'm half inclined to leave the crust growing in the wood of the grains. That just doesn't matter. I could re-roll a narrative roof, and the most interesting thing I can hang to here is a fake old ghost to argue with. Wanted, the murderer, is still at large. 50 half-staves of pencil lead and double talk reward. I can Dionysus from D&D here to DS. Notorious interloper. All I've ever known is leaving everything to rot for so long that the very quarters come together into a brimstone Gamadian. I'd jump through if I didn't feel like I was already peeking my crown in. If I open a hole in the roof, can I start harvesting morning dew? But if I open a hole in the wall, the wind will spread everything thin. Thin means wide and easy. Means easy to move. Shit. This place works as is. I don't have to do anything. I wouldn't need more than a flick to send this place, and then boom. Things happen. I'll go grab my things. I've got them already. Between hooded hat and stitchless shoes, I got a rotten sword in my pocket to scare beasts away from animals, and a pen so I don't forget about it. A few coins, some with holes already in them that I can thumb over slyly. Paper, which I forgot why I have on Indie. That's about it. What can I do? Steal. That's the only word that sounds right behind my skill, but I wouldn't say I've ever tied my name to that. You're telling me 4 guys around a wheel pay me with a point to hear? I can only assume they've given me some dirty job, so I'll squat on these boards and trunk up junk down out of an attic. Mostly for silly ends, mainly because they'd hate it. It's probably why I'm here. I can do that. Live like a fake undead guy till the inevitable come to force the ground up with night rays and chimes calling for quench. I don't know. I'll find something else then. Again. For now, I'll bomb here. Upside to things. At least I'm not shucking corn. Welp, that didn't last long. I'd hit fish in front of this here net I'm squeezing in, but one of them just said something really, really funny. I'd rather stay hidden from my own laugh right now. I wish I hadn't heard them say it, because I can only wonder why those words would have been here at all. They're levying them solely at me. And bullshit. This ninja down there apparently needs an hour to dig through a shitty cat box, then yells to his donkeys to keep it down outside when he ground pounds the dust into the air like a stereogram of sound. I wish I could make a stereograph scream at him, but what gives me the right? His own black flag? Do we attack Count simply because of a cloak left here? No, because they're dumber than a sack of country hicks. That's reason enough. So I drop Jax on top of him, and his minimal and weak peep sends his pack cloppers running, like they got hit on their ass by rants. It's a grandiloquence rhapsody to blow a cannon cornet and catch an unholy man's eyes, espy what I spy. An encyclical dictat. Then comes a prating. Good sir, I am a plain-clothed man. I braggadocio you hawkshaw copper. To harangue a civilian over a horse sense, throw him on the street for your own misgivings. Windiness. After beef remain to see me. A blue smoke gendarme. That is all that I have. An ability to brandish rhodomontade taradiddles, because why would I trust you? You want money, right? That's always it, right? All I got is bluster wind, but I can find moonshine sometimes. How much do you want? 50 cents? Will you trust me, my chesty inquisitor? What do I do here? Sir, I live here, as unfortunate as it is. I find things to eat, then I apparently turn them into money, and use them to unlock tunnels into new places that I can eat whole again. So you can just fuck off and give me some peace already. I do try to sleep from tome to tome. But then some grandma fucker wants to come in, out of the blue of night, and his eyes pop when I answer the door. He says his family lived here. I ask who. He won't say. I say I've seen no names in this place, but I sure as hell think about it. No, sire, you can't come in as well as I know my own grumbling belly. Deep in my bowels, Grandma is gnashing at this stranger for some reason. All I know is that there is no family here in this empty box. End of the month forecast. A toasty hearth. So I guess I get a job, right? The only real key in this world is a coin, and ill-gotten gains gain ill-fated trouble. What am I worth, 350s? Tomorrow's chain around my neck for the sole recourse of selling salve to cool it? Penitence for past pardons? All I can see when I look at this whole place is empty space to be poked between both hemispheres. Places that don't have enough room for their own, and stench trying to eat into me. as if that wasn't what I've been since my very birth. Turn that part of me into money? I don't want to imagine, not because I couldn't balance about it, but because it would be lonely. What a down-in-the-mouth execrable base of life that must be. Iniquitous and cast down into lachrymose saturnine. That's what Grandma called it anyways, whatever the fuck that means. I just wrote it down once. I don't know where. I lost that note a long while ago, but I wrote it, so I remember it. Work? Akadimandetti? I don't even have coins for arcade tussles. The thought connecting the two. I can't have that power. Even I can see that from here. I'm just too damn good. I'd milk metal hand over fist if you gave me that spot. Who stands? Who falls? I know before it happens and my very presence changes their distance, then I get hassled for doing nothing. I'm too good for that. So I kick people away instead of just being a go-between? What's the truth in all these places? Stand around and become a prop. Don't speak, don't even think to squeak. And only to say, how high? Because if you ever finish anything, there will always be the next thing to scratch down at. Work. Every king wants to act like Lord Michael and can't even stand when faced with a mirror. So they out it all onto you with poor polygonal eyes, all for a potato's worth. Except potatoes weigh more, so you're technically being paid less. Plus, minus the cost of, well, anything anyone can imagine really, the cost of loss, obviously. It may be a toll on a road, but I've seen people try to burn it back into sand just because of something they would never, ever say. Akabinui day. How much does the toll cost? Yesteryear's scrap answer. Counterfeiting. At least I can write it on the scratch paper that way. I think, could I wrap entirely around someone? Cover them, hold, and lie to them completely whilst they lay in whatever inner facade I feed them? I could never do that to someone. It's literally disgusting. Taking their face, their name, and their vowels to blow them through a reed all while they were lied holy about it? Gross. They call it a reversal of fortune when you blow bile chunks like that. Little sparkles of guts aimed away from your feet. Sometimes hurling things is the only way to get them out. That which is predestined but is not for this reason evil. Saturn, or so Grandma quotes. I continue to think. Now a little bit more. Because the trash I'm chewing through isn't what I want to eat. It's what I have to stuff in order to print hope of a coupon for a dream made on the back of recycled newspaper. I'll just let who I am possess myself. The act sounds more despicable than their garbage that I eat. As if any amount will make oatmeal brains any more than quick mush on a refectory table. I can't copy a real brain into someone else, unfortunately. Relax, guy, you're fine. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. It's always easy to believe that if you don't have someone else's words in your mouth, because the unseen future feels like it will end more amicably then, and not with egg on the page's face. It's always easy to believe that if you don't have someone else's words in your mouth, because the unseen future feels like it will end more amicably then, and not with egg on the page's face. But the future lands are usually based on why things are said and not what is said. I find that it's more important where you vomit rather than to whomst you vomit on. Who cares when it is? The stomach churns all on its own, regardless of dexterously manual grabbling and massaging of belly. As it's wont to do. Because I can see something bigger growing within me, and I can follow it like a dream using anything I can get my hands on. I must be a mammoth miscreant. Feels like if word got out about how tall my delusions of grandeur will tower tomorrow, I'd be called a monumental maverick. The truth is, all I yearn for is a day of peace and food. But monks got me drawing flares around finks behind catalog decay. Clerics got me holding money, and lords want me to cut wind without a look on my face. Dinner. Have a beacon making me. Fake power sauce bars. You ever walk behind the sound of one guy whacking hedges? Afeared that at any moment he could turn it on you? Whether by accident, sheer breakdown of thought control, or by the command to shear a weather? It's easy to walk by if you can hear the wind chimes. It gives you something to focus on besides the sound of scraping kale. Have not at me, sir. I don't even own a silk stocking to roll down. As if I'd want their eternally brown-green peanuts. I'll scratch into a pocket and have everything I can want for. My trusted liege commits credit in his vest, so the only wherewithal that can sit and repose in my own is a little lucre. Good sir, your earthen pins, folded lolly, and wampum bread. Once he has relinquished custodianship of his own hands, he has begun to pay on an installment plan, while his brain pongs at whatever flicker is defined in front of them all. Dogs sniff. But if their retainer is a Gandhi dancer or a working woman, they can't smell shit. Which is good because I know what I slept in last night, and it doesn't fill this suit well. The money spinner in his noggin goes and I ask, "Might a mint good, sir?" He don't care, he'd swallow any faith I'd hand over to keep focus on any bout. I could lend him spit and get a peek at his blink back in return. Surrender is what I want to say, but those words won't get me what I want. Then I fuck up. In serving, I make physical contact. The absolute indignation that was suffered by all. I check the ground with my forehead and grieve profusely, which of course makes everything worse when everyone sees all the ones down there now, and nobody knows the W's of getting there. Belief is at an all-time low. One good hit held long and deep, then blown isn't enough for anyone. The cartel will hear of this and the partnership can never know. Take credit to deliver a delegate of understanding or bequeath wads of bread to the sum of the knowledge of the existence of these hot traded cards on the floor. Crippling masks of silence. And look at me. While the play continues, I let him know he has received a message and retrieved the writ from the underside of my aspect. After all that's happened, do you really expect him to understand what is handed over to him? No, I don't think so. But I know first chance he'll go running for hell now that he's read it. And I'm nobody. The green and the Gorgoneion. Nine diurnal pictorial. Ipsum laudim bin pamphoric asan binduki ruambernain. Imagine.
I'll do it, I swear. One more time. One more and I'll crack an unholy sky through myself just to spite at you. At the very least. Empty words that couldn't sway a feather anymore. Who knows what enters outside ears when I speak because I can't even trust the sense out of my own body. Once total lockdown and treating is achieved, there is nothing left but whatever guild they want to tender me unto. Tonics, trinkets of chicken feet, and temporal trickery that no individual can fight against. At what point do you say the line in your hand is a call for help? I refuse, as well as I know the rules that I won't tell you. I'll crack in 2, then any number more, until I can smack at you with my own guardian angel. What recourse can you give me and my own? You've given us no options, so let anything take this place that you are so insistent on pinning and skinning. Crickets. The words wound out on their own to nowhere again. Oh. To be loved like I once fabricated was possible. To believe again in foul thoughts of sweetness and praise against a world that has defiled them as tools. Luminance in warm emotion take draft and turn these night walls into lava. And at least make sure the oven stays lit, dear, please. I am pretty dumb. A big dumb knucklehead. Praying for hours to long-dead godheads, trying to appease them with snacks, as long as they leave the crumbles of the core. That is when I see my light in the night, the comforter of an all-white bed inside and out. My body growls a physical cry over the idea of a deserving touch. The last time I felt one was possibly over 10 years ago, which is a bit sad if you think too much about it.
The haze of yesterday's decision seems like the sloppiest slinging of bullshit, out and away from myself that I've never seen. Things only feel acceptable when I've decided they're right, for whatever reason. And the dim dark indigo creeping sighs me on as a flag of surrender away from the chance to do anything else. For another half of the day, I'll be lost and do nothing about it. There's no way the present could feel good unless I call it the past. The only noise I feel comfortable creating is the clash of crystals. I can barely handle hearing them in my solar plexus. I can't bid to look in their eyes. Snakes. I talked to a guy on the street. He was going about his business as usual, so I pushed all my shit onto him. I was shocked. The look on his face seemed to slide into shapes of both friendly casual repulsion and intense intrigue that he could not hide. He already knew what I was telling him. 1 and 6. Critical. Critical? The easiest place to hide is in plain sight because it's a place I've never ventured. It's terrible. I have to brush against everything when they smudge onto me. Things aren't simple, lady. People are packed in pathways onto piers, up pews, and through piss-puddled floors out here. Up yours. Then everyone turns and says, "Things are great, things are beautiful in this world," as if anything has changed since yesterday or the day before. 5 and 3. Someone over here, someone else crying. Fine, what's wrong? They can't hold back their flow. Wriggles and gray matter are squirming and it bleeds out like a reaction. They're laughing for some tartarated reason. Good for them. What was I ever fighting for yesterday? Had to know. Honest. Where am I? Who? How? What and when, if those ever really matter? I couldn't answer those questions, not because there weren't answers to the barks of inquisition, not because my muscles are unwilled to make the movements to produce the tones of consonants, but because, what's the point? The only thing I can assume is addiction to something is a weak patch. To cover all the basics I can't seem to find anywhere. It's so easy to lose sight of the feeling behind the words "can do anything." It's such a hard feeling to find, so when it is gone, it's doubly painful. The emptiness in my jail, worse than if it were filled with venom, injected directly into my thin lines. I'd just as much go scream at monsters in the woods during midnight than plead to divine interdiction for hell. Well, for furtherance of healing my heart and strengthening my head off to new height. Damn. Pointless prattle. Man with a missile. I'm trapped in the giggle loop. My shoulders tremble and my chest heaves, trying desperately to chuck sound out that can easily be contained with a locked jaw, but it never leaves. The gremlin bounces back harder and harder. Insides all turn to goop and my brain turned wacky. From the outside I must look like I'm having a seizure. This image of myself only makes the band bigger around my waist. As funny as it is, the laugh is another lily pad on dry ground. The next step on a journey where I can't get what I want, so I think of blowing the floating leaf away, or using it as fuel for a few laughs. It won't change nothing, but maybe it don't have to. I'm still alive, aren't I? and I'm laughing, the most powerful drug I've ever found. The ability to think something truly stupid, totally foreign and titularly stipulating, then to allow yourself to see those misshapen spaghetti thoughts as something other than your own vitriol. Comedy. All I need to do is eat something, let it sit, then remember it. Then if I can infect somebody with that part of me, I don't care if I look dumb. The girdle will grow. At the very least, they may like me and refrain from stomping my skull in order to curb my chattering. I know that if you can make someone laugh, then you're not in trouble. It works 95% of the time. All this to cover for grass, or the lack of it. In the center of the city, there's only stone, and gathering roots is impossible. I'll steal anyone's face to put a laugh on my own, to forget the emptiness between my ears caused by the noise around me. But without clearing of brainwaves, eloquent meadows with others are damned. Stuck in the commons with babble who can't read hocus pocus without calling a constable to corral a carol in my gut, or a ne'er-do-well to knock me over the head near a well. So I take the only payment worth to my services: laughter. Medicine straight from the sun. Redolent darling on my lips, saliva my sweet wreath. Pandemonium has struck, anarchy is here, and times will never circle again. Without payment I have nothing, truly nothing in my name. Another thing I can slack on and wash off and call a face. As well as I know that a human brain can fly with glee. I know the outer wilderness loves it when you crash nose down into plod. Sometimes all it takes to make a day great is spring breeze and room temperatures. It is a marvel. The feeling of finding something in a place you stumbled through thinking nothing was to be found. It is a mystical worth that cannot be bought. A crown of light. But sometimes it's dollars that you find. How could you spend those? I'd rather color them and frame them than spend them. The only way I could trade their worth is if you sold me the ability to eat the void. But I'd just swipe that from you, let's be real. Receipt for services rendered. Gag orders. What am I worth? Worth the same as I ever was. And then I went and found anything in a whirl of delusion that whinges my joints when all's been said. And the new thing shortly became the old thing. What do I own anyone? Can't remember, honest, but I've got a few pennies, cards, dice, sticks and strings if you want. It'd sting if you took so little from me, but would you really honor flesh as a price? I wouldn't call on that as a highlight. That's about virtue. Away with dishonor, fright, and horror. Stigmas, stains, smirches of birds, and disgraceful shames too. They're all around eyesores. At least have the rayless grace in yourself to hold some sort of a personal cardinal contract in balance for the planet's sake. Or if you're an idiot like me, hold on to heads or tails and follow it blindly. It works sometimes. Sometimes you drop the diviner by accident and it still leads you with a froward squall. Sometimes the coin spins when you drop it. Who cares which face lands where? It looks cooler going roundabout. It's worthless anyway, but you can still snap it with your thumb. Weightless pips that are thrown away. But if you've got nothing else, your brain will scratch to find truth in them. Before you know it, there's anything you can breathe into their drift, and even the shitty ones tell you something. Silly, shitty little games because there's nothing much else to do. So just shoot me out of a cannon over a mall, through a hoop of fire into a bed of shredded up obituaries if it would make you cry. Or you could flip it. See if the dove breaks a beak or a tailwind. If there's always new junk to pick up, if someone else throws something away. What am I deserving of? The only words that come to mind that have been missing are real physical touch. That's what I want anyway. Who knows what I'm worth? Fateful words. As you wish. The Rhythm White Tarot Deck. Rules. Table of contents. For use when people want to take your money in order to tell you what you should do, or for making money. Shuffle the deck and deal. Look at your cards and play. It's that easy. You cannot be stopped. Who cares what bumpkins see and hear if they pay you? That's the whole point. Synopsis. A monstrous braggart kidnaps royalty and brings them home in order to throw fruit at the wall. Created by R. Bix. In conjunction with sheer utter boredom and emptiness. I'm bored again. Ain't that how everything always starts? What to do? Fuck it, do some stupid shit. Seems like the only thing I can ever find is a questioning of a ring around me. I stared at the floor. And that's what there was to do at that time? I don't remember what I was thinking about. I tried to cut up random letters in order to make them edible, but they just weren't good to begin with. All the aphorisms screamed were night and sleep, like it was crying apocalypse and fuck me over and over. I easily forgot the chant I started with just a few moments ago. It really do be like they say, what's the point without love? To grind up in a chasm so you can continue to grope for chances to gulp the furtive privies of life? 6 whole hours of a handful of space that I haven't seen the likes of in multiple years, that I won't see again till God knows when. Enough space to build an entire tree in if I could still dream it. And I'm sitting here in it flipping a coin. A mild flash of a flick and catch to be juggled from wherever it is tilted, into either a plap of my palm or a thudge of a ridge of a tiny hand bone. Is that what my book wants to read? Me sitting here forever, the page furled under empty bends full of oddly spaced words? Sue. I may as well find a graveyard to dig for peace in. But let's be real, people walk through there all the time. I go for another walk, a run, in circles, or should I choose a different shape? Push it or laze back into it, focus or feel? Because I'm bored, or because my body needs it without end? Do I have to write fantasy into a mental reality to feel that there is anything to find? I mean, it's surely the only thing that will come from this empty, blue moon, quarter of a life. Ghostly flowers of welkin brine, with a horizon seen through their lusterless basin, that are no more than pedantic jots refusing to tip their high hats. Crestfallen, if there was ever a title to hold through its stalk. Erring on the chance of blitheful subsistence, and if the words stay solely with me, they serve no end other than onanism. Hey, I found something stupid. What was I down about again?
Vision Rapacity. A yen of a figment of envisaging today's ignis fatuus. A crack of a phantasm surfeit to sate any avid itch, only to be put down like a pipe after a puff that stretches your insides out and about. The 2 weeks of autumn are like the 2 weeks of spring, oddly smelling phases of uncertainty that don't feel all their own. Noticeable days of weather slammed between obnoxious bison of simplicity without the grace God bestowed on an avalanche. Every crang of their very existence serves only to reorder and build on an out-of-whack mess that refuses to seed into tranquility. What can be said of a life where nothing is done? I don't have words for a response, but it doesn't feel like an empty answer is within. Anything. Really? Anything? Just a day ago, it was barely the basics and only after the choicest of words. I think the division of answers is in the wording of the question. Anything can be said of a life where nothing is done, but barely the basics is what is empirically there. It sounds cold, still, lonely, with a tinge of great hope, felt as misery. Close enough to see anything is unobtainable. Worst part is, don't everyone just love to tell you that you're worthless? It's what the entire world runs with. Good luck being a recluse if you don't like it. Everybody knows that a queen would hang a man if she didn't like the truth. 'Cause ain't nothing suck more than throwing the truth in someone's face and then they shit their mouth, eyes, nose, ears and hair at you. That's some ancient reptile sub-brain darkness shit. A place where nothing much happens but small reminders of bills, due whenever tempers flare or soak to their worst. No one wants to be there, not worried over a deadline, but in no hurry to hear about an extension to no specific stipulated period, announced after the clock rolled past another session. 'Cause people are cracking out there, and they say some twisted tale shit. I can only hope it's a joke. There's no way they believe their dumb fantasy to begin with. I can't see it like how they spell it out of their mouth, but the tearing at their fabric of strings just sounds desperate. It's a very dangerous boomerang wielded by a clumsy villain. Every smile of a stranger is serendipity, and the blame of all bothers is an unknown and nostalgic burden you never knew was there to bear.
How to grow a noise. Easy. Crack some pavement. Forget about it. Let an entire new world step on it forever. Hope that the second it peeks out of its vestige, it isn't immediately torn. Give it 3 days and it'll be shaved. Right? That's the only weed I've ever seen grown. But to be overly honest, I dwindle more than I dapple. Let me just put it this way. It's like a mental musical pear. Literally, a little green lamp I can encompass and wish on. You can always use the thing, but there's a mystical rule in place that you can't. Ain't that how mental blocks always work? Quality ceramic glazed with green water reeds painted onto a dark glossy forest floor. It's got a girl's name grooved in it by Make, so of course that's the cliché trumpet's name. This shit was handmade. Just look at the mouthpiece. I've never owned a wind instrument that looked so much like pursed lips. I can feel that a thumb made that dented ramp just by using my eyes. If you're so inclined, you can finger the underside like a tiny fairy bowling ball. Strangling it with lady grippers causes sight to roll back and third eyes to peep into pinhole cameras of delusion. It is a quality-made ocarina for sure. The blowhole? Gravel. Gridded parking lot. The spot that was held in order to complete its processing. Still, God, wouldn't I love to play it. The tip spirals into a fine sip of kinesthetic planting. Turn it down, sides up, and it looks like a whole scream of nature. Hands plopped around it and everything. An infinite scream passing through nature? I heard one of those once. All the instruments stopped and I heard a note for what seemed like a time that would be the last forever. I could believe the whole stopped, and I would only hear that singular note. One stanza ripped from the paper tab as all the info that would exist again. A couple of quarters or eighths that said, "It could have been so, if only..." Shit sucked, but she finally shut up. The sweet potato is such a handful, properly. Sits chumly over the edge, but is firmly wrapped behind inner skin creases of joints. I want to feel it between my fingers as well, all the way to the hand. The horn sounds terribly off, like the reed it doesn't use is chipped, but it's perfectly preserved. My lips just aren't practiced to use it. No, they never learned. I played a gulp going down a sinew neck instead of a sibilance of swish, swuss. Shit, I got them both around the same time. Too many decades ago. I saw a thought. I remembered hearing it years before. Until a few moments ago, I hadn't realized I didn't know. I barely knew it even then. I've only blown it a few times within any space without someone to overhear me. But every time I remember it, I want to educate myself on how it handles. Little orifice triggers to exploit, magical matters to riddle out, and boredom to break pioneers into newfound ground that sounds just like... It's a great feeling to see this. Again. Again. Again, and this time, without manic screams of August passion fruit splattering into a psychotic rainbow through a cracking prism lost in communication. Is this my punishment, then? To bind already pressed page in the devil's rage as passage for dynamic dirges that I've never seen gnashed before? Maybe one day I'll let myself learn or some shit like that. Or forget that I knew that I found out something that used to exist I didn't know about, that I already knew about, once again, and blow it away. That shit was wild.
Wanting to find something of worth on this field? Sorry, bud. The best I can offer is some perverted admix piling to reach a new low of mine, or cozy cribs to cry cow simpers through like a big boy member of society. I apologize for the watery quality of these words, but I wanted to ruin something. I want to wash away gloves and ring with manic wild pieces lost in a temporary parody of performance that even the creator can't decipher. Want to chunk grabfuls of anything with freshly trimmed nails and sling it into a demon's lullaby, much to anyone's tears. Hopefully, a fulfillment of future yield in a cognitive overdrive that I won't look back at with shame more than half the time. Baking of infinitesimal bricks to replace the old pies, even if it is for the worse. And without any way to treat them, they will break. That just means you suck. How about a turning of the world non-stop, for as many rounds as the rondure can be forced? No, Madam Madman, put everything back exactly how it was right now. The stalling is exactly what an emperor would want. Sit up, shut down, and don't even breathe to eye a bit on a plane across any line. Only made worse when every animal is all too happy to parrot the cracker for a traipse of his royal bad mojo. I think I'd rather hit a bunt, softball, fortunate enough to find a field to toss a ball and manage a swing before it punches sod, then walk over to it and do it again. Cake sniffer, bunt slammer, hot dog hanger, pitch shifter, leg slider, and programs. Stealing, spitting, slapping, smoking, salt, grand fucking slams, walks, curves, fast, overzealous announces, and grounders. Question: when is the last time you treated yourself? How many dull mental alleyways do you want to wait for me to walk through? A cursory thought brought me back too far to keep carrying the adventure. Like a fistful expression of untamed feeling, an idea that can't be put in words but can be seen in foreign objects. The piece alone doesn't make much worth, but there was an undeveloped idea being put together with whatever could work. It can start in your body too, when you're not remembering what you can't find to remember. Instead of trying to control the knowledge, you use a muscle to turn the sense into a new of the same. Or forget things entirely and remember while doing nothing else related. Short, fast, meaningless. Go shift, run, crush pebbles into sand. Fuck it. I grant you total carte blanche to justify, execute, and abjure for no sake. When should you turn things off? The simple worldly answer is when it stops. Such a simple message to take in demise has been put down. Of course, still, why wouldn't I? Who honestly wouldn't? I mean, who really knows? I'd just be glad to have something to fight besides boredom. Just make it and forget it, then make more. It's a system made to milk more than money's worth, abusing human weakness as an arm in a world that's training the populace to become unwilled. 'Cause what do you mean? Another set of words I couldn't say. Future prices will be paid by coins minted on any biological machine manufacturable, scraping off time for due diligence. Forsaking semblance of balance instead of buying bread for the soul. Truth that strikes dark when an obvious tilt is presented as a choice. Truth that can be remembered even if the brains are whack. You can feel it in your body, deep, down in my plums. Making money is the end goal, and living life is the unfortunate price for the game's number system. But it's okay, baby, I got money, we're doing good. I don't know about them, though. You want to stop? Make a lemniscate grow on top of the beast's head. Put his hands around the lady's jaw. Pull it in reverse. Then sit in the ground on the dark. Because vegging silently in the early morning is the closest you can find to sanctuary. The eclipse of glowing existence waned again. I feel the simple idea. That's all I needed. And now I can run neck first into unyielding wall. The simple suite of sweat and dumping tanks. A fun gamble on your dime, of course. It would be great, I'm sure. But ain't it another thing to spread love all about? Arcades are dead. Can't even have fun for ticket prize novelty. Help me find that place again, will you? From the other side of the universe, you have free reign to believe. No nasty nearby notions of natural nourishments to drag you back into their thorns. It's easier to see a star blink than feel the overwhelming presence of a sun. Very juicy. You can. You can make it over and over again, and over and under again, again, but a little different and better every time under again. Around, under again, again. I lost myself and splurted all this too much again. Need to reap, cut, crush, and bend it all a little bit. Seems good, though. I'd come again to see that sound.
the rats on the street were fretting this morning. Same shit, different day, right? Almost. More so than usual. If you're the kind to pay attention to the daily routines of vermin, then you'd notice the difference. Triple in number, twice as towering as a baseline, and panicking like they don't do this every morning before feet wake up. Normal Nomen would weigh that the festering fidget's race rose in no doubt due to the northeaster deluge. Normal Nomen don't recognize differences in dross distribution, like an apex addict who adores liturgical sacraments of silver. Even something as simple as "have a nice day" can show unseen shaking in unknown telling, and the secular will say "schizo" if you so much as slump the soupy sail of stipulation starboard as solar scene. Stressful words aside, these vermin were chewing something fierce. Bonfire permanently installed around their necks like a noose. Fierce. Chewing through unprocessable plastic plebeians' prize wrappers with white tiles of eyes looking around as if to say, there is no thought of a predator because it is an ever-present friend. Every bit of the Rat King living every moment in a haze of unconscious worry over its shoulder. What a terrible cover to live under. Imagine, I'll follow you wherever you go. I'll follow you to the afterlife. Beautiful seeds of words that can grow into something truly fashionable. Stolen, of course. Rotted when tied as first to another, neither have ever been washed and more get tangled in with time. Dingleberries. The pill-sized Genesis could have drilled into something like... Well, it's truly hard to imagine when it's been digested. Pretty much lost, but undoubtedly will be shit out elsewhere. Could have been burnt into clouds or some shit. Big blue flames to fill the sky with stalks, or whatever the fuck it is food grows on anymore. Obviously something fell somewhere somehow and spooked the wave into its own unending uproar, violently so. Else they wouldn't be listing wood and flossing ears pretending to be any other animal than their own chained existence. Could be house pets playing tricks at them, black scavengers stalking, pans flashing sudden flush downpours, fires sparked in their loamy coves, a simple threshold of starvation, or maybe a singular loosening of a tail under a trickster's pinch, that tore the mob round and about in on itself until it became a corporeal hurricane. Could just be that time for one of them. A blood moon got him worked up. A giant hole in the sheet of cheese and his spot in the knot rests right over it, fervidly gnawing at empty space with a primal mind, begging for a shred of its thoughts into actuation with tiny hands and cannons for eyes. I'm just walking by, seeing this, thinking. Brother, who knows what they jumped into and moved the critters around in such an oddly different ritual. But they're fritzing rocks. Like they doubled down on their death and didn't decide a direction to destroy during their dire defunct disarray. And they can't even shit their collective brains out about it with a little class. I guess that's the thing about reading into the floor dirt. It is good to keep close the secret of a king, but it is honorable to reveal the works of God. Can't even stalk Elysium in peace.
What was I doing this time a year ago? Who the Plum knows? I remember things, then when I think on them, I can place them. Like a mark on a calendar, things don't hold meaning, or they hold it incredibly rarely. Last year, sleep, getting it, balancing it, exploring it, and forcing it. The fool's word was astral projection. Lucid dreaming, the layman's. The expert's word is, I never got there. The adept's word, if I could title one to the trip so shortly fallen, brainwalking. unconscious imaginings crashing under their flimsy weight. An outsider's grounds where creative critique is impossible. I feel it is only fair to call forward the word lighter when thinking about it, like an empty flint canister that still wishes to melt candle wax, escaping into night flights with whatever wings it can paint onto any number of eyes hardly seems lighter in a positive sense. A fun little fancy, but if you live there, you'd soon notice how dark the frame inside a head is by its very adjoining. You can say it makes a body light, if you were so inclined, but I remember a very distinct bzzzt that felt more earthly than worldly, and the dullest shackle that refused the thought of anything earthly quicking, malevolently more so than the usual airy birds. Truly, the easiest place to go to say, I found something beautiful, where you wake up in the usual, go up to any place you think about, wind up in, well, it wasn't a usual dream I wound up in. I kindly apologized and woke back out. Places like that turn into thoughts of, pussy didn't even try to conk me. Truly weird wobbly walls and whales that are looked through waxy wisdom, comprised of literally unseeable shapes and form. You almost don't want to wonder what they're wearing is supposed to be. And I've got so little in my life, I think, why not go back? I am a failure after all. Their connotation, not mine. Failures can be good, it is truth. Knowing when the pin will fall, or finding the flaw hidden behind unseen fixes, allowing the sublime of allowing the unforgivable. Freedom to open arms and do things previously believed to be an abecedarian's errand. Trapping taboo thirst, but training tainty trust thrusts through tonal trains of thought. Empty seeking that usually revolves around flying, controlling of things beyond touch, sudden fades to black, brightly lit night scenes, familiar rooms that change into new locales at a degree's turn, sudden violence that cannot be caught in the eyes, and beautiful faces I've never seen. Cliffhanger, a perfect word for the endings of dreams. The starts? Chopped up media res? Racing round curves face first into trash? A devoted demon of not chill? An empty tank? Friend, fumes funneled out of that container garage rubbles ago. There was never more put there. Any liquid that would drain there, dried up morning, noon, and night, just by environmental hazards. It didn't used to occur to me that when others talked about their dreams, they usually meant something they could bring into waking life by monetary means. Houses made of gold instead of auger to fight ogres, and horses running to piss on anything other than their own enemies. This is how people think? Nocturnal emissions of messages to vie for in a big green leaf pit? The realest of dreams come to us through madness when it is sent as a gift of the gods. Does this make me a narcissist? To see joy in my sleep? Reflective surfaces of deep that darkened the longer I stared at them were the only things I could firmly slant to my name for such a long time. I learned the definition of a more fitting constitution instead of narcissist. Machiavellian. It sounds so much worse, but it's right. Like it's wiser to chomp my own nuts, because the spraying of a dream into a world where the miasma of misery we call people only dream when they drive is not a plot where anything edible can grow besides dressed-down reproach. That's just the way of the world. Real is in sleep, felt like nothing else. Teach me how? The answer to the question is, do it yourself. You have money? Yes, of course. Then the answer becomes, no, do it for me. My guy, you know how easy this Swift is? Actually 5 minutes of work. Even I can manage to find the tools for it. Or do I have to grow it out and hit you in the face with it? building on the myth of free providence and chained calamity in the ruins of a temple. Dreams exist as the alternative to empty slate. What more do you need to be sold? Oh? It requires personal pruning and raising? Then it is impossible for your donkey ass. Fair warning. Who knows what the fuck really happens there?
I'm already in the place I need to be. No need to close my eyes and focus to find that area of feeling I trouble to put to words. I remember now. Halloween. Don't worry that its bleating sun stained overshadow around foundations uprooted. Not by massive dirty columns, but by ripping cuticles of howls slashed with groundwater behind them. Holidays are in a few days. People are alive, but they won't hear. Too busy putting on masks, wearing their heart on their sleeve. What an easy way to meet like-minded meet. I wonder, could the city be shattered totally? Every link between every shed and bed covered whole with disaster rose to them completely, whilst they lie in the outer facade of crimson perception. Could you imagine? A god without a pilot? Instead of some celestial butthole coming to stick digits on your neck, an empty box with eyes that says, okay? Thank God, this is magnanimous. 5 days till and word is the Grand Fest happened 5 days ago. Lost mysteries now under land, slid on top and smoothed to a flow with my justly hate. I celebrated a mystery once in my life. Mums said something satanic to do with it. A wayward compass would compare the countering confluence to a cracked crowing. But even a strewn sextant is straight somewhere slightly over the skyline. Didn't feel like I missed much. Guess that's the problem. Her feeble framework of the cosmos was sinister, but the outer open air was just an excuse for her laziness. Always candy, never costumes or walking. How could I put on such silly sounds so often, only to slyly slip them south? Couldn't even trust far-off delusions of anything happening besides slavery or trough talk. I've seen those futures fade far too frequently to feel favorably for first flame finishes. Right now the word is alone. But then again, aren't things started alone and ended alone? Things that people want more of, wanted much more of. Life's left wandering like a dream spent watching falling ivory. Pieces of wrappers that I want to pick out of my teeth. Tomorrow, the answer to every day. After this, concrete grey again. Thoughts of a fair idea to put on these pieces. An antidote for the inevitable and unfortunate that has a chance of showing up as long as mechanisms don't stall. A chemical wish brewed in the brain. Might as well keep it to myself. Throwing hefts into hovel black holes is worse than being pelted with pebbles. Well, truthfully, hit with rocks. Why destroy it all in the first place? It's still fun, good, transformative, solidifying, but disassociation shows another thing I can't get. Because even if you crack the glass, it still reflects the schmear's sprightly gaunt. What gods are here? Stolen burgers and subjects. What world? What actions? A single survived seedling turning the possibilities of brains on their heads. Where am I right now? Standing on a roof, screaming to my heart's content while streets flood anything you could want. I have a major motivation and soma shortage. Things turned out good though. Watched everything chronologically and didn't feel like disemboweling myself, so I'm okay with it. A try, known to be pointless in the way people live a balanced life, made in vain just because. What does the cataclysmic fire rain end on? Fantasy? Truth? Lies? Point? Well, the structures are fine, roads perfectly runnable, and animals sheepishly waking up to daily grind. They were never none the wiser. You could sell them a religion where outer gods saturate farms in order to partake of hybrid vegetables to prolong proclivities. Every hog stomp through every 5th minute in between every bounce between anything but a house's dirty corner rides me to say, hopefully what this explosion was is worth something to find to enjoy around here. But in its creation is the birth of a negative as well. An ever-present reminder that even in the cure, the sap of life is there. I can't survive in this world. Right. Words I once said that I now have to roll back onto my own tongue. I love you. Like playing an altercation. Divinity expressed in a childish agreement to lay away your turn. A dark stand, telling you what to do so I can justify another person's words I have to put on you. And once it is gone, you have no idea if you were lied to or not. The possibility spreads through probability and never leaves, but I can use it to fly to the moon. Might as well go rob a bank.
What does he see? The same thing he's always seen, just in a different form now. Emotion seen through a wall. Light switch reversals shown in alien actions. They may not seem like much, but they are clear conditions that connect to a conscious cognition. He sees little clues of feeling even on the unbalanced haywire. Apophenia could be the cause. Apostate may be the truth. Apophysis is usually the modus operandi. Apotheosis definitely isn't it. Apoplexy sounds closer to the truth. An apostrophe like in the sentence, I miss you. Apocalyptic apology. His apostate apostles' apocryphal apogee started to run away again. Believe. Just hands. Rakes rolls and tosses them over and over under big falls of gravity. It doesn't sound as clean as you think. A scratching speed with a pause drawl, like a warden searching for contraband, or a provisioner ensuring packages are secure. When his neck starts to move, it is easier to say that invisible hands grabbed his ears, throttled him left and right, all to shuffle his split-end dry wet mop. He brushes his hair without comb like a dog. Flips forward, backwards, forwards, backward with a wrist, dirty noogies with an open palm, then a total tornado onto any form or part with grand smudging to start again. Bent over pulls of string out of a spinning wheel with wild arms that shoot strands towards stratosphere and dead skin that flakes afloat his fiery favor. It is comforting to describe him as beastly and mostly human, but that is a weakness of words. People can choose to discriminate whatever they wish with them. No need to call him a golem that just ate some loudmouth girl. Oh, he will spit her out when they're done, but I fear, no, I worthlessly worry, that he isn't to be trusted. Devouring deers in what he calls an auspice's admonishment makes it look like the sky already cracked under his hat. Oh, he saw some archaic artists' renditions on the cuneiform canvas. Now he screams to elders of great in his head. Anyone can see that in him, can see that he can't see all that he screams at, his harmonic hallows. In my humble opinion, an evil wind rose, and as he's wanna do, he's about to steal. He's an addled army knife for an arm, with faded flower and sunshiny sable on a stick, and just like me, he can't put his own words onto himself. Must be some joint in his grain is slamming all the time, like he laments myriads of mythic silence. All he hears is, hands on deck, like he hasn't been twisting and cutting that thing all day. Can't even think of a question to ask it anymore. Wait, is that a bad thing? Don't think so. He has already decided long ago if it could even be said that someone as dumb as him could perform a decision, even if times change. There was never thought to choose from. Give him anything and watch. Today, sweater weather, when the bottom layer becomes a second shield of skin, felt more like armor against harshness than lackadaisical fibers. He looked skyward towards firmament and think, I want to be there. Ancient technologies and theories we never knew to exist that tell of luxuriating pears being lopped off and the blowing of distended crests. I was just looking for something besides jerking it. How'd I get here? I guess that is the same thought at the end of both lines. He says he has no problem running wild, but if he keeps living in gardens of fruity charms, He'll have to call the Promised Land his home, because no one will bear the passion to arm themselves against him. Beyond the plates of galactic sin, more like beyond the pale of the physics of a sign. Yesterday was the last Sunday, and he says something stupid like calm before the storm. What color is the sky again? Pretty soon, someone will find a way to take the last of the twinkling bulbs out up there, and I won't be able to remember the shade anymore. The memory is, if you stare long enough, you can track the twirl. That's about it. The only real emotion of the idea I can still recall. Wait, I remember going home once and seeing a bright red ball. It didn't mean anything. It didn't look mean either, but it was dreadful to see. I thought it was a nightmare for the longest time. A dreadful rouge moon and slow slight slides of stars. As if we aren't worldly enough to receive constellations. That's why anyone is here to watch. A single cycle in a New York minute, pulsating nanoseconds, vibrating into each other in a trice, turn into an immediate acute demolition of their senses that they spend in tardy reverie gaggling at satellite buttocks. Wouldn't you do the same if you stared at shines reflected by an eon's lunar light, gawk at anything to keep from vomiting? Swears it helps him focus. He talks of kingdoms, but he is priming another spark, as if he can't look around with his own eyes and see the beautiful heartbeat disaster that's going to crush in on us all. Can't find anything in his life to build upon, so I guess he'll just fall back down here to the last rung. No calamity today? Sure. Sure? Good. Good? If there was an event like that, I don't want to record any deeper trenches in their brittle turnips. Maybe bitter turnips?
You ever been nowhere before? Not the things aren't going well, nowhere, but the nowhere? More like a fable in which you intently believe that you have passed away, nowhere. I'd say it's fair to mention starvation, but that alludes to a physical presence in its very definition. Only to, of course, rise tomorrow to that uncanny feeling of being hit in the forehead with the real of non sequitur. The usual saturation of life is deceptively different in those first few moments of reality. Always alone, regardless of the fact that a few seconds later I will remember facts about existence again and return to the place I live, without presence of out-of-the-blue actions. But the leaving felt so believable when I was suffering it. Like I had to watch a sophist's schoolboy scholar suck shit through his straw on stage to portray a playlet of our town. I just noticed a change. Giving my body the space to push hot depths out at anything and letting my giant flesh occupy a visual realm someone could notice. A two of pieces to go along with granting a second of time. Screw that noise down into knots. I'm trying to watch the ever after the hood falls. Maybe when I, of all people, have something to say on this matter, then yes, you all are wrong. It's almost like I was in this shit before the leaves started to finally pile up. Then all your bitch fat asses came down to my metaphorical hole in the earth and stretched that shit out so fucking bad. And now you figs have the audacity to say I am wrong somehow. Because you have fallen. Just leave my fucking swamp, take a hike, eat plants. Not Cain. Bitch, whiny lil baby. You need me to bard you a song to muck aloft your tiny dings? Will that at least put you to sleep? What's the matter? You don't own an axe? A lariat? A hard rock? Regular-ass hands you can kiss grass in? A bag of fucking pennies to jingle like a cymbal for my sake? A bellflower? Unholy fucking crowd. White noise is whistling in wind, and you need me to do fun for you. Decent arc output being tortured to the wrong tune. Don't even mention the tonality. Doesn't matter. The lacuna's fit excavated extra exposure, and the jacks jut jolts whenever a body shifts. The mono screams a bent, burnt world based on the slide of a prick, swinging flicks to finite fadges. So as I stand, with my sword in the ground, as I can say with my voice, I am always right. In so much as in my words, our lines wrote with a pickup for truth, and in as much wrong or error or power surging through me, all was attempted in truth and be said to be true. A bit. On those grounds. The start of the fade. Green, orange, yellow, dark auburn, brown, and fine pink red. Easiest yet, and not because I'm a stranger. The minching bites of crystallized chemistry can one day wash a person from head to toe. I can find beauty in hibernation, but it's just so tempting to put on another layer when everyone else sleeps to the chill. My long rest is finding headway in others' weakness. You know what would be the weirdest, most unfound, dishonest, broken line, echoed, stick a bull's hit on its head? Everyone fucking leaving and going home. Absolutely undo. Would never happen. Jabber jaw sugar shits that mean nothing. Might as well drink with me. But don't advise me in chaffy counsel. You talk about inimical balefuls of bane that you yourself eat with fermented utensils. And he went from victory to victory. All it takes, really? A simple beldame's manner, a perforation on some pelt, a tourbillon torpor waltz, a snapped string of steel kitgut. Add, I hope, as many apologies as possible. Burn the very last card to cinder. I don't mean the still burning kind. I mean the still burnt kind. You have the gall to tell me to shut up? I ain't ever shutting up till I get what I goddamn want. And I don't know what that is. A million shades of light not obscured by the morning mist, but a broken lens. Ripping that old hat off and throwing it up in the rafters so you have to turn around and get a new one. I want to persuade you to preserve the sulfur you've been unjustly stealing. And scream, scream, scream from the top rope. Break your legs. No need to curl away. No need to curl away. The nature of standing tall takes over just by the grace of how the universe works. Fight against memory held in muscle by stripping it into aces. Fix yourself first? Yeah. No da dick. To rather be a dancer for birds on wires and squirrels on streets.
Standing here, sobering is the word I feel as if this was any regular day of the week. I could have done more. I should have done more. Pushed to the verge and limited by unsung apologies for fake pharaohs. Like a venerable voucher shitting in a box at the bottom of a witch's tomb, left in exchange for a torn Republic tender. Left. What's it mean, that I should allow myself to wield my right heavier than usual? Probably some leaning tilt I sat on for too long and molded myself into. I don't mind that I'm already foretelling a finding today instead of tomorrow. I know the quietus because I knew what tomorrow was the day before yesterday. I can know what the life after right now would be from that spot alone. What am I doing here? Stuff. Start is when lights and stop is when wall. Swerve is when obstacle. It's unconscious at this point, most times I don't even look. Eyes must seem glossed over, half-crossed and quarter-tucked in behind puff lids of gray. Out there? Oh, whip-wipe weasel between bits of space, churn grip, tense, hold flex, skin-fingered open fob flatters of handle, and footy forces of fusion and free song. Calm solo melodies played over static on long out-of-favor implements. Frost on visual planes. Fuel. A mad will to go faster because there is open space in front. An even madder will when I realize there is open space all around me. Turn moves made over many miles as I can't make out if maybe there might be a morsel of moxie to be maneuvered with. It's easier to judge distance by focusing on the shadows shown on the floor beyond big obstructions. Such a briskly beneficial brio, sunk by the way back. Shrinking asteroids wilting into keef and mutinous meteors of melting magma that cool their heels waiting to fall fast again. A good retard is performed in your abdominals. It isn't just a crankshaft lever, It's a wise gradient of pressure distribution served to the presence of the current velocity. Slowly let off like a choked teddy bear, but then sharply locked down and on, bringing the body to an unnoticeable still. The pierce? There are no rules. Not that the rules of not burning don't exist, but I can choose to move at my best wish. Don't care if there's a limit. Don't care if I get thrown. I have the faith of my best actions at hand. The boons are a brush. I hate that word. Because truth be told, I can't draw a straight line to save my life, even as a means of mechanisms. An applicator? No, a medium of thought and action. My yobo's been to time. The tools aren't touched, the span is never spotted, the tour travels on its own. But if I fidget, then I will yield. That feeling of a single hair stranding in out of your vision's depth of field. A massively invisible tear in reality that you nuzzle away with a thumb. This is about as reasonable as if a silkworm took his web for the limits of the universe. And such is the cosmographical notion. It is always the terrestrial valley, crowned by the canopy of the heavens. If I came to be at the edge of the fixed stars, could I stretch out my hand or walking stick? And if there is something into which it sticks, it will clearly also be unlimited. And thus I will go on to the newly chosen limit and ask again. You want me to slouch in? You think I won't because I'm afraid of falling? I will, no problem. But I won't do that as much as I know how fake that feels. How every period is sent with the deliberation of worry after it. How natural it would hurt to succeed in anything, besides adventitious adventures that bustle into burst. Face unloaded straits of avalanche, or unbar the bolt with hail. The idea was something dry, but after a good squash, the agonizing is gone, equipped to hurtle headily into high and hiss. What is outside will be either body or place. It just doesn't matter. Maw. Seasoned with taut stores, habituated to sundry ecclesiastical eclectics.
A commune of coney rabbits to lose sight of.
Through fields of doozer-chained blossoms.
Awe-stricken aves with dull shock expression of beak.
Feathering from forest fairies who flog their features for favor.
Cherries to chomp under a catasterism's cloudy cloak.
If it weren't for rams and raccoons roaring rainbows with rare and ruddy reds.
Pallid melanated mud puppies lily-padding their pillows.
While wilding forebearers pounded down all their micro-brewed bloom catalyst compound.
Paprika plants and offing Olympiads are artful boundary stokes. Even here there is a branch between things.
The eyes are the chief, if not sole source of the deadly rays that spring up like poison darts from the inner recesses.
Hag charmers hounding their private eyes over whitecaps of the feld's buttress.
Thin spindles of spontaneous shooting, mended by dunked-done donations to the Destine Diva.
A thick blazoner to balance the think banshee on the Baron's broads, baroquely brined, and breathing to be breached by bystanding bloodbiters.
Spontaneous erroneous attendance measuring a massive 1/billionth scale.
The force fire kindled them to plague and moraine.
An entire lost field of long livelihood, again, giving new names in an effort to confuse the angel of death.
Swarms that walk on cats' cradles, crisscrossing lines to confuse any spirits that might try to follow them.
A doom column's inclination to angle the cooked druids-driven cattle between two bonfires, leaving wiggly wobbles of ash noodle dish.
Crafters that posture palisades of perseverance and exterior brass that emulates an advisement of heirs' assistance.
The most hideous creature of all fathers, forming circles of fused flour all over the floor to flourish frowns at fine fate.
Of course, you know the whole production was carried by the instrumentalists on their crescent riffles, playing the fiddle for little women weavers and rowdy nippers.
And a mimic of me's from old. Godship crown throne, scepter insignia shrine, shepherd king queen, lady truth cycle, battle standard, flood, weapons, sex, prostitution, law, libel, art, cult, hierodule, music, hero, power, enmity, straightforwardness, destruction of cities, lament, Rejoicing the heart, falsehood. Metalworking smiths, scribes, tanners, builders, basket weavers. Wisdom, attention, holy purification. Fear, terror, strife. Peace, weariness, victory, counsel, troubled heart, judgment, decision. Lilies. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Where am I now? Same as it ever was, only lower than before. I found myself running backwards because I didn't like where I was. It sounds fearful, and it kinda is, but it helps me remember where I used to be. The thing is, what's lower than standing on the last rung of a ladder? Hanging from that final notch instead. All I can find looking back up there is joy. That I could say such crass things so comfortably. And even while holding on to empty air, forsooth, I want to let gush heave. Then a gust pops my ear. It wants a prayer. Imagine, a fucker begging for you to pray to them. I get it. I know how it feels, funnily enough. All it takes is a lonely existence. I've been reading too much. Or better to say, I've been understanding too much. Too much what? Fruiting babes whining because their teething rings are taken away. A queen using those same keys against her subjects, while abusing the locks on herself. A time when it's fair to have more fun talking to bats and birds because there's always going to be one of her carriers around regardless. Because how could she be a mother if she didn't do such things? What can anything do at that point but find fancy and fruitless endeavors of plowing? They seem to be the only path I've allowed myself to take. Truly, something that can be done totally alone. But then again, I am just some place for someone to put something, or for me to steal any stuff onto. 'Cause... fuck. I found something I picked up when I was 7. I always just dusted that shit off of myself. It's hard to entertain it when you don't have connections for context, and you tire easily by taking it all onto yourself. There's always something in what somebody drops, especially if they are an idiot. It's okay to be a fool. More so than understanding what it definitively means, it's an easy feeling to acquire, despite its heavy weight. The promised land? Pal, even if I was to follow along, why would I tell anyone anything about what was behind the clouds? That was thousands of years ago, and I'm just sitting here watching everyone else shit their palms as usual. A shooting star is a once-in-a-lifetime event, or however long it takes to come around. Not like you dolts could plan on it or anything. Not like I can either. There's only so many days left, and I'm only at the start of my current line of thought. I'm hungry. There's plenty to eat out there, but it's more comfortable to make bread out of my own fat, of course. Shit, I forgot something. Besides water. Words I only understood now. Well, what could I do with them? Go scream at the criers? I feel like they're only being used. I know what they don't know, but I don't know what that actually is, fuck. I wrote it down right when I heard it on the grounds that I didn't understand the words at the time. What do I do with it, though? It can't be trusted like all things that aren't me. It's some downright hideous thing old kings did to feed lambs to slaughter, so naturally I worried if my name was amongst them. Lo and behold, regardless of facts, I knew it to be true as well as I knew everything I could worry, run from, and feel. I just have no idea what to do with it is all. Guess that's how it works. An individual takes it all onto themselves. Then breaks, then runs to the only open hole they can find, and everyone eats of the freedom offered by the act, while farmhands baw at fireworks. Bro, the apocalypse was a week ago. Or don't you remember the storming of skies we had? It was wonderful. Drops fell for days, and it was warm enough to wear any attire you wanted. Now get back to work. Or did you forget what you didn't know you were told as well? Just do what you're told, it's easier that way. I guess I'll climb out of my hole, get some things, brush my teeth, walk around, you know. The only kind of stuff I can find. That stuff. The first things that can be found. Acknowledging what it is that holds you back. I can't find that. But at the same time, I usually always assume it's there. All I know is the difference of feeling between sitting on my ass and going for a walk, and which way forward feels best. Why did I come out here again? Because I was possessed by that strange feeling, which compels a person to move, regardless of what they are thinking or what they want. A guilt. That I missed something earlier. So naturally, I run into the arms of a flower girl. Really, it's more true to say an entire den of whores. Why is there so much stress about it? It's not that I don't want to go, but shit. Fuck it, talk to whores. I'll paint the whole house red while I'm at it. Well, I'd love to, but the petals around their eyes are devious. They want to eviscerate, and they are crying. I mean, I can, but how could I ever? I'd much rather ask her a question. Not for any reason, but she looks like she'd rather talk than see me cry or entrapped in whatever obvious cage she is walking me pelvis first into. How's the soil, right? Of course I look dumb. I always look dumb, but she's not sure if I'm idiot or not. Lots of guys come here, right? They must be so packed in that they're sitting on the rafters. Believe it or not, but I've never been in there. You think I got money? I can see why. How could a man resist when it looks like his wife is calling him in? Sorry, I said that wrong. I meant you look so good that people must propose to you over and over again. All I know, even in this dull light from behind her head, is that there's a lot more white I can see under her lashes right now. And her mouth starts to open, but I can't be stopped. You'd figure you'd get your ass out of here. Surely one of them is better than this. But maybe you're responsible. Sorry. A responsible person, you know you can't trust the promises of people with money, just the sacks that hold it. The ties you made with the people you've come across keep you here napping ears off of belts. It's all you have. Her hands move down towards my hips as I lose her. My will to always maintain distance glides me back with a baby step, as if this were just a harmless hag. Listen, I don't want to know what you got in that back room, lady. I know I'm a vanilla guy, and whatever monster of a living being she's selling me is most definitely not a good idea for someone in my position in life. And I couldn't even begin to afford it, so spread the word. I'm a lousy mark. Stillness. But I walk by here a lot, so if I see you again, tell how your unfortunate servitude and duplicitous eyes cry on that day behind your masterclass veneer. Not really to share things I already know, but to hope she is doing well. As if logic itself doesn't dictate the series of events if you have faith in the evil of all. Or if you listen around a bit. I mean, stick swindlers can't even shake hands under the guise of stealing words without goat screeching of celestial gangbangs. I mean, it's hard enough to listen around. Every hand wants to plant on the back of your head and point it through their own recommended path. And when the location of a place is a word, control over what a person reads is paramount. All I really know is finding new words is getting worse and worse. The world only letting out the word you've heard most recently, and barely any more. I can walk down any street for hours and not find anything half as interesting as that silent concubine. Fuck. The weather has entered that kind of cold that requires at least 2 pairs of socks. I want to laugh, thinking that your dream is the same as the one I was thinking of. I've been there. I've balanced across chucked-up rock of road that has been shored up into piles. I've stolen bits of that ridge to use as headstones. I've climbed into second-story windows of pre-broken glass and lurched around the giant abandoned facility just next to that gray coast. Now, did you and I share the same dream, sir? No, because mine isn't a dream, not even in a worldly attempt to hide the truth. A real-to-life place that I've trespassed over many times. I can only assume some glorious fact, being held behind his words that link with my thoughts. Now, sir, you're lying to me, aren't you? You need me to spell it out onto you? I'll use something you brain-dead fucks can understand. Hypnosis. Commentaries, sacred objects, and reenactments known only to mystics that have suffered themselves. Grandeur chances to bleed duds dry, but more importantly, the spreading of false tried truth behind past actions and future memory, in the now. I don't care if this is a meeting place of worship and tribute down by the river, when the priest yells his creed and the house is mine, and it is most definitely not my face on his page. I, of course, have faith in my actions because I know those words like my hand I hold in my hand. How could he know? I may espouse gray-mattered innards quite frequently, in overasked amounts really, but those thoughts are pasted over so often that there's no way he could be reading them. So a connection is made, and as time passes, more links hook into other people's spoken lies, over the mellowing of layers upon intersections of still more chains. And in your overcooked play posh, anyone offers you your dreams to you. Of course, the crowded idiots take it, follow it, love it, tribute everything to it with open heart like it was taught. Then, before the scam's climax, during the high crowd's cosmic procession towards total actuation of life, the tarot card gets a good turn, and it all comes tumbling down. Money is gone before they ever walked through a doorway. Self-esteem is parried into self-saintly martyrdom. Good ideas are the catalyst to their crash. To put it simply, the ring around their finger was lost in a handshake against their will with the devil. Then anytime they see the ruler, they break apart all over again, having their faith manipulated against them. That word don't mean nothing to me, because as a person who makes memories alone, I never needed to pick up the word faith as a tool to be used. Fortunately, this baby's baptismal cries can't shout of the power of astrology, and trust can still be found in twirling lines. Trust isn't the same as faith, even though people often use those words somewhat interchangeably. Trust is based on a neutral proposition, hopefully. Faith is based on trusting what you already know to be. But the rule of thumb is, if you can imagine it, then someone else is already abusing it against you. Just another stolen memory. There isn't very much earth to it, and since I have no context granted through connections, every option is a great unknown. A solution? What kind of bud leaves a trail of light? I don't know. But these guys are out here using sacrifices and nepotism for duties other than magicians and justices. Common words holding dual citizenship to the towns of oppression and trickery. Shit. That's what I'm doing out here too, stealing money through someone else's hand. I might as well. Hail ye ships of tarnish, for your strength is laid waste. The hand of hosts hath purposed it to stain the pride of all glory, and to bring into contempt all the milk churned of the world. I spit on the man's face. Why do I feel dedicated to the idea of crossing over the borderline that I spend all my life on? Failing to moderate my moderation, and the thoughts of running keep returning to say, I have to. If I was in a worse state, I'd have said forced, but I'm fine. I do truly guess that's just the name of the game. Devotion. Obligation to give oblation, because it is the very least you will do to ease the pain of having to personally know how it feels to hold that midnight vigil as punishment instead of truth. I guess I find it so easy to take their praise unjustly as my own. How do you remember a memory? A dream of the past, an artistic process whose reflection period changes with the waves of the days. You record it onto something else longer standing than your fallible human brain. And if the memory is private, then you hide something only certain participants would know, lest any fly walk by at any moment the spine is cracked. What all this comes back to is wanting to see behind a person's eyes into their inner sanctum at the cost of humanity. Because why would anyone ever trust anything before it has been delivered unto them on a plate? And afterwards, assuming they haven't been eaten wholly, there's a self-destruct button implanted in their chest, and the boss wires it into whatever sense they want to trigger a quake with. You don't believe me? Son, the other day I said to a guy, "You have a nice posture." You'd have thought I started a cataclysm. And if I had given him a hug out of pity, I'd have depressed the trigger and we'd both go up in a blast of light. That's right. You guys want money, I know. And I know how wonderful it all could be if I just got back off my feet and built forward that soul of life. And I know you're just waiting for anything to be there in my pocket, because then that can become your pocket. And once your pocket grows big enough, well, redemption, unification, revelations, and all that stuff that can be lied against a person with a ring around their neck. Word? I said all that? Well, how am I feeling right now? Solace. I feel that the constant vortex that is usually around me has departed, or slept for now. I don't feel that unyielding brizz that extends to the horizon, constantly dragging me to push away from its striking beat. I can feel fine, finally being allowed to sleep to the open field I found myself in. I don't feel compelled to love words with anyone, and I don't even mind talking to nothing. You ever, you know that drop into your gut, but not a feeling of hunger? Rocks instead? That's not a malady. It's a cure to the unseen problem you didn't exactly know, linking inconsequence up to the heavens in a bolt of unwritten brightness. And all I'm left holding in my hands of thought is, sister, I ate poison, didn't I? Not just ivy. Some random concoction of consonants, roots, pre's, suffs, notations written in illegible oil. And I didn't drop dead. How can they deny that I ate of their bother? I sat there and saw their mouths widen when I did, and they were more of the belief, nay, the blind adherence, that I lied for some reason. I wonder what happens to the regular people, the ones not rolling a nebula's luck. Never thought I'd feel so glad to see nothing when I sleep, lest I have to describe a nightmare. Anything could be in there. Anything can happen after they. Yet as much as I say anything, what I'm trying to hide is thaumaturgy, without saturated luster around it. Drugs. Well, I call that therapy, but that's a cover for a dirty dependence that clawed into my life years ago. What else could sit inside my head and flick me what to do? Let's be real. Of course it peaks into delusion, that's why people put lids on their glasses, but Guy, I've been burning bridges out of spite and shaking hands with grimaced nails my whole life. Why? It just is. So trust me when I say I know the process well enough to differentiate forms within its soup. Someone laughs at simplicity, or has the most uninterested eyes while I speak to heart. And I know that I can't go that way. Something just kicks, and a path within me is completely, logically, locked off from performing the success of the system I'm currently in. This usually manifests out of me as screaming to a wind of butterflies. Now see, I know what a prayer is as well as I know how well a hope can be built into someone, then dropped entirely to destroy them with the natural order of things. A better word to think of is confession. I'm sure you've seen it all over. Friend, why don't you bare your heart at me? Let me into your most sacred earth. I am of authority, after all. Well, if they ever said it like that, no one would trust them. But the point still stands. Imagine. What a man, a miserable remedy of mute meter and meaty orgies, could do if he gave that information to someone with no presence to you whatsoever? Now imagine what that friend could do with the power to lock you up if you didn't listen. I'm sure you see the picture. Because what is friendship other than a flash of imagery between slaves at long distance, blindly spouting water forth and being surprised to see manifest magic of mundane powers? It's horrifying. Because if I say anything real, then the guillotines are sharpened, as all tyrants will to do. But it don't matter because there isn't any way they can get rid of this memory. It exists along a spaced line of small dots that a benevolent lord will never get rid of. Debt. Context can be created by placing any two things next to each other over time. And if you want to revise the story, all you have to do is pay the price they tax alongside their punishment. At the end, all that will stand is a chronology of places visited with a worth of some number attached. Plus, don't they love sending slips to remind you of the unfortunate? It's like they're taking care of the raising for you. Once you can see beauty in their fear, then your mind becomes overcast with grace in action. You can go tell them to eat a jackass. You don't feel what I'm saying? Just think. At this point in time, every messenger between every pillar is listening to everything everyone says with eternal memory. Not that this is new or anything. Wait a second, what day is it today? Oh shit, today I have full audacity to throw away abandon. I can scream wherever I want, at whatever I want, with love for myself. So of course, along my current line, this feeling quickly diminishes back into submission. Not because the total loss of self-control would hurt me. Not because I would greatly hurt others in my wild, but... Don't ask me why, okay? But it feels like people will take my praise and use it to actively hurt others, and not in a karmic transaction of a cause and effect kind of way. Possession. That sounds right. The word's current shape would strike utter fear in me if I... You know what? Forget it. A person can find anything from any number of places. Sometimes the treasure really does fall onto you. Usually it is a discerning eye that alludes to the value of an individual thing. If you believe me to say it, feels like serendipity. It's a hard feeling to know if it's never happened to you. Pure gift granted without curse. Maybe it's so hard to feel because it doesn't actually exist in such a soft context. It's more like a prompt to the moment as a red flag. But then I look up and am reminded that free purchase is the way, just from below's sacrifice. Because don't royal fucks love to invoke the queen through their touch, as if she were the final hand on your shoulder, as if they aren't already putting that onto a loaded deck. You ever met one of these? A paralysis angel, a struggle through muscles that don't seem to exist when your will is conscious, but it is refused from yourself. Moments spent fighting between somewhere and else. It's the same words, really. The end result being that if you ever speak, you remind everyone in earshot of the dangers of the other side. Emotions of any worth are used as an entryway into more minds, and even if they are protected, they are still taunted with pity for others. No wonder why I always found such a wide home in unwritten things. But you know what I found while digging through another seemingly empty catacomb of a crack of the universe? Sometimes, if you wished something never happened, it still gets to be your mantle. It's true. If any arm can stand in you and reach into anything you touch, then how could you let any living thing get close to you in goodwill? The thought, why would anyone talk to me, takes center stage. Not just as a self-deprecating nesting of head, the legitimate logical relief that the world works this way against individuals. What can you do? Shit, I don't know what you can do. I could read an old story to find out, or... Oh, no wonder why everyone tells me that. I can't even say it. Not just because of lethal laws that would strike the wave out of the air in real time. You think anyone is going to follow along to the sentence of turn yourself off on a whim? They tribute. They use ancient magics told through dances of decapitation, unless you yourself see eyeballs whose pupils try to run out of their bounds, and bodies wearing ceremonial garbs to cover the stains of their training. You won't be able to tell the difference between a sacrifice and a martyr. The simple rule of thumb is sacrifices are praised as meals. Martyrs are reviled like wide-scale disaster. They called it paradise. It strikes true to the image I had in my mind for both positive and negative reasons. Keeps your kind out, traps their kin in, except people won't eat it if they know where it comes from. Basic business practice, really? Seeing their heads whacked off with my own eyes. Then being told the person was infected. All because the executioner's chain couldn't stand being anywhere other than the tippy top of the crush's crown. Or it wanted to sit on the congregation's brain instead. Damn. No wonder why people are the way they are. Burning down houses and running the opposite way in the middle of the night for money. For shame. And bringing light to others' lives, they call it. It sounds so greedy and self-serving. Still, you think it's a fair act, don't you? To sacrifice yourself in order to perceive yourself, and anything within Raycast can get hit with it too. You want a bit of that? All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you to the count of 10. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Excuse me, sir. What was all that? Honestly. They're simple words, really, so if you could just print them, that would be great. And this isn't the background I told you to put on it at all. Can you trust your God? Bro, relax, it's a fair question I'm asking, not telling. Uh-huh. You can't just have random pain without random consequence. That's fair to say, right? That means sometimes when you lose, you also gain big time. Also add, it can't all just be taxed to it too. What does that mean? It means I'll pay you later, okay? That's it. The beauty of creating a mystery. Being able to look at the final draft without seeing the original ideas you plan to craft into it. Because that's usually the worst part of the creation process. And failing to enchant the object with the correct properties. Remembering a tale from long ago when times felt watery and futures held prismatic sight, only to see it perceptively distilled into dark mud. It's absolutely distrustable. I guess that's why I love it so much. Failure is built into the very rule. Noticing the pointless that encompasses everything of value and finding the sublime through its grime means there's never more than a final finished rough draft. As usual, even in the telling of the truth, roles, times, events, and feelings were reversed, jumbled, deliberately twisted, and always told under duress of some kind. It is the only way any word is published. Okay, I'll ask you this. You know what the wind likes? It likes to lie. Lie with Satan and lose mind in ecstatic fury of cuts. The chime's cards now darkened with the evil that will come to corrupt men's souls and make them beg for a lineage of servitude. Whether the gulls that ride in the sky have 2 twisting faces or 1 effective mask, there are more days in the year to raise them than even a queen can control. What does she like? Nobody knows. And by nobody, I mean the laymen. Of course, the name Mystery holds true by natural happenstance. But ain't it the weirdest shit when that one ain't got nothing next to it, besides the word vengeance? The queen likes nun play cards and burnt sacred texts. No one knows which texts they are burnt after all. You know how I know? As true as I know how dumb I am. I always heard the complaint. Heretical literature nailed in public. Despite my hours, I never saw any. Not because I couldn't perceive it, but because I perceived it as my own. You know why? They were talking about a dumpster full of fire. Why does the Queen of Angels, a lordly being descendant of heaven, need 2 flicks to get into a trash heap? I draw a card, but I know what I want it to be. Son, her name had dropped from right under her nose, pressed with her own lips, taken while in transport to the most treasured theme, the carrying of a torch. Huh, what a funny thing. Names. They're cliché, drab, trashy, and usually picked en masse because some play or epic told viewers to do so. Just feels like people assign names at the very beginning of things, and I always found that a title only comes together near the end of a piece. Otherwise, I'd spend the whole time making the work around the starting idea and not the process of confronting the issue at hand. Dude, couldn't you be convinced that idiots will throw away their child's future in order to gawk at it for 5 minutes? For instance, what if word was around that the monarchy could grant you a larger life if you listened to its creed completely? People would be chasing rainbows instead of wondering why the Mother on High was speaking to them. I found something again. Child's pose. If I was never taught what it felt like to be a holy statue, those words would probably draw me down into sleep. But it's the most refreshing rebirth I've ever felt. To praise the sky, then sleep all in less than a minute, and you end up feeling brand new again. Alive. A revolution of truth within myself. You know what? Even if I wanted to, I can't create a message without hiding its true meaning. Fuck it. Fuck the queen, she's a cunt. Out here rifling through every actual molecule of a person's life for absolutely plain to see unjust ends. I've seen it. I've heard about it. Who hasn't? They're basic words. Cuffed hands, stuffed mouths, pissing out of fear. Needles, friends, family, idiots, servitude, corruption, bondage. Stalking paths in between people to force equivalent exchange to occur, whatever that word is. Spirituality, breaking, extortion, blackmail, perjury, fraud. And worst of all, chaos. 'Cause ain't it fair to believe that somewhere out there is technology that can bring forth the things you only worry about? Take that shit and steal it away from me onto that placard now, okay, kind sir? That's it. Thanks, I'm going to cement this out in public. Meet me there and I'll pay you your due. Fuck. What did I write last night? Plan. Kill God. Well, where was I when I decided that? I don't know, but there aren't any puddles of bile on the floor, so I guess I didn't go over the edge of reason. Unfortunately, the only cure to this problem? Shit, who cares anymore? These are days made for body wincing. Slime gets trapped into deep wrinkled folds, and the only thing I can do is hold the vile acid within me. You know what hangover means to me? Thank you for waking me up and falling apart totally. God bless the sly sticking of a card into the middle of an idea. Truly, the innermost corrosion that I have known at times. To be so bad that entire fractions of holes have been spent trying to chuck empty bowls in an attempt to purge the lost belligerents. Lost what? I can't tell you. I filled gourds in my head that wobbled me off kilter. It's not about lying to you or not. I legit cannot know what I've flushed out of existence. Will I always remember dread regardless? Oh, dear dog, the sky is rising. It don't help to read this scratch either. It says, pop that bitch so hard my knuckles produce light tearing through the friction of the air. I don't think I should do that, but that is the only thing I remember. Fuck it. Do some stupid shit and make Dad proud. It's a simple mix. A fair sound chug of any colored blood. A smaller measure of sugar from the other side. Colors don't matter. Some kind of stick to swirl it with. It'll foam despite not being yeast. As long as you don't retch too bad too often, then you know it's fine. Old guys call it marathon medicine. Not drink, not wine, whatever acid the plastic can hold. Not quite rot, but still well below standards even by loose definitions. You get to the bottom by the speed of your outsides pressing in on you. And having to refill is a great ritual, if you're ever in need of leave as well. It's not even about inebriation. It's the performance to act through. Fuck, it's 9 times easier to stab any tongue out of my mouth, and it's 1,000 times easier to forget what it is I launched. Insatiable gust like the great fission reaction in the sky. Feels like destruction is drawing closer. Want to throw a rock through a window? Now that's too much noise. Yo, what was it that fucker said again? Damn stones falling on heads. That's absolutely brutal. Well, yeah, go ahead, stop me. Tell me, guy. You can't summon a fucking meteor to pulverize the crud you live on. It has happened before. Can you imagine? No. You could live 100 lives and not come close to holding that celestial story in a book. Truly, crushing. But at the same time, you honestly think I know how to kill a god? Shit. Ain't that just a word she ascribes to herself? She isn't a god. Elevated official, more like. But that makes the path sound too dark to go down. You know what I just realized? Boy, do I know how it feels to fall flat. Condescending incomprehension, that's what I was taught. Never gave much thought to it because it was taught to me with cynicism and snark. What can anyone do with that prophecy besides smash down into something so hard that it shatters, sending shards flying away from the point of impact into faraway places? Relax. Last shit I stole was simple fulcrums and physics of force. I could be brined on actual cosmic cheese and I can feel how horrible that is. I'd do everything to stop that honestly, even if it did solve my problems to see a constellation formed out of us all. Still, the thought is uncontrollable. Of course I know that word, no need to think or prime about its meaning. Some sort of empirically measured number attached to an impact. I guess that makes sense. Someone once told me to worry about my violent words, but I'm a pretty borderline guy, all things considered. I swear I'm speaking truth. A big old meteor's coming to slap a dirty look onto a face. It ain't a lie. Look up. You can see it. You know what that source of light up there is doing? It's coming to have a chat, in the language they communicate in. Screams, so to speak. A question to remember the lost. What can I bring to you? Answer, more trouble than it's worth. Truthfully, you want to know what's coming? Nothing. You can feel that, right? You don't need me to show you a picture too, do you? You don't expect the sword of spheres plunging through divine garden, do you? Good. You shouldn't. You should be eating, drinking, talking to people about plans you will again make at a later date. Giving people things they need because hell forbid you'd have to step outside during this time of year while ill-prepared. Or you can hibernate. But days are always darker when you fade away time's tilt. You know what? It's okay. This sounds like the best dream I've ever seen destroyed. Can't you see how shit all that is from this far away? But what gives me the right? Nothing, at least in respect to others. No one asked. But at the same time, why should any individual be totally beholden to any one thing? The right all things have to enact upon what is around them should be all that is ever needed. Her word. Whispers. The trampy kind. She didn't mind effects of icons, but she didn't know. I got that proof written on a blue page. Basic memory. I love people. People living under oppression because don't I know that shit like living every day under my own self. That didn't happen to you? Yeah, no duh, that's why we're here. Didn't happen to me either, but I'm just thinking about it, and oh man, does that sound like a grand slam. I can easily imagine the others it didn't happen to, as well as I know how easy it is to be poor and hated. But sometimes you hear stuff that isn't ever mentioned again elsewhere, at least using the same law garble.
Stage actors.
And the words become the strangest seed. Everything connects to something directly at least one time, and the biggest riddles come when all the bangers have been trimmed. Who was dragooning again, you ask? Hijacked words from the ether in between. Sometimes it's nice to hear that others have suffered as well.
Listen, man, I didn't ask how, all right? To be blunt, which I've been with you from the beginning of this trial, honestly, I see the whole strategy here by the prosecution. Don't have any cross-examination, mainly because you've already schooled the people getting on the stand on how to answer certain things. It's clear. I don't think I have to call any witnesses. The legal issue is how is the monarchy allowed to... It's obvious I am not stupid. All of a sudden, the state don't... I didn't say anything about that. For the first time in trial, now they don't got no cross. That's clearly a rush to try to get through the case. Hurry up, we're just gonna let these people go and no... Come on, man, I see through it. I just want that on the record. I see through it. I trust mine eye, monster, as if my own stare betrays me.
Nibbling, scratching, and graunching with ivory, even when there are no words in the air to be caught.
I ain't axe cow.
You guys have no idea what an actual hag is. Utter darkness that refuses to listen and will bite its tears at you, then rejects to accept that you see her face snarl at the utter sight of the color of your heart's tone. Worry about it? Of course, that's end-of-life shit. Trying to slip something unnoticeably between winks? You wouldn't fear fucking that up. Oh? Where am I from? I'm from the fucking ocean, dog. Really? Explain in detail why I want to marry the queen and what I'll do with her? Signed legally? You want that on paper? Oh? She agreed. Sir, don't I know what a stage play is? I heard my own gibbered lawyer talk before I walked into this place. A direct result of the action of someone else, deemed as a rub-out.
Nice try, doofus. I know that's what's being done. Come on, man. I'm far from an idiot. Far from an idiot. So I'm going to start asking every witness up here that they seen just to mysteriously not now have any crossfall. Have they been coached to the way they performed? I find it very funny. I find it very funny that, oh, I saw the person on the cart. Oh, you can recall for somebody reaching for something, but you don't know what they had on. Come on, man. So she has to elevate her voice dust for that? Come on. I haven't said anything. Ain't none of this to benefit me, so let's be clear about that. I'll stand on this goddamn grave and shout glare at you until you fucking turn. Your ass cheeks up. Leave behind everything and walk out.
Shit. I was just drunkenly leading about worldwide catastrophe yesterday. I tried as fuck to avoid the heft you just used. It isn't the first I heard it, don't worry. Clear the air? Fine. What do I suffer from? What can you fill the form with so it can be officially submitted? PTSD? A dead crawlings that can only be destroyed by lobotomization? Yeah, they write that mumbo in volumes. But as with all mental illness, words and third-party observations are almost worthless. Better word is brainworms. When a technically pre-planned obsolescence of copper twisting to snapping can be misinterpreted as magics being cast on you, it only feels fair to think that suckers are in your body, wriggling on fibers and synapses.
This isn't a stare down. You can't just tell me my past crimes. That's dirty. I rip up your order of jurisdiction. That was how that was said. You want to run the record back? I'm the only. I only got one good ear that works. And I heard that. You call yourself a judge? You don't tell the jury the truth, got no integrity whatsoever. If I want him to be here, he gonna be here. So just know that it ain't ever gotta be no arraignment. All I gotta say is come, he gonna come. It's that simple. I accept for price and return for price. Man, ma'am, we said all that at the beginning, man.
Judge, I apologize for the flowery nature of her words. Certainly you understand the importance of delivery when defending with dirt. No, I won't say it again, I said it already. You can't remember the word, bro, it's only been 3 hours, you get paid to do this? Honestly, let me guess, you need an hour for lunch? Okay, all right then, we'll come back to this later. You got pens you need to organize and juvies you had to wash?
I don't even want to be in here that much longer. Just do what you gotta do so I can get down out of here. I'm tired of being in the court. That has no integrity whatsoever. I need to make a record too. When am I gonna get a chance to do that? I'm finalizing to leave anyway. You can hold me in contempt all you want. All you gotta say is this is criminal indecent exposure, illegal trout theft, alligator through a Dorothy's window, ceiling crashing naked man vandalism, unusual trespassing, and birdcage confinement.
No, that's not true. It's a fortune, you unschooled privy. The draft brought it to my ear because I weigh so little that it can pass right through my bones. Well, excuse me, my liege, Amalfi Bendies, and all apologies, I can't really, that I am this way. Sorry. I've been making many of these thoughts every day. Royal flush, it's not about the salary, this is half of my world. I'm going to let you hold that one, no need to say it.
I'ma get you what you know is coming. This is civil. Where's the contract between you and I? What is the crime? Who makes the claim? And what is subject matter jurisdiction?
You're wrong. Take this one down again and see what happens. Iniquitous and cast down into lachrymose saturnine. They call it health insurance where I'm from.
It ain't no mister. Don't try to address me like that, like we cool, making tactical agreements, being biased. Of course, you need a sign on the line, don't you? Of fucking course. You can write the motherfucking Ray line, take that mouth and scratch that down, that's what. I'll say it, I swear, my honor, they fucking used me.
Sir, of course I'm not listening to myself. My mind can't accept any outside input as worth, even my own reflection. It is all just noise. But will you believe me now?
Okay then, let's start from the top again, shall we? I thought, well,
fuck. Oh God. That unyielding Briz is back. It's gotten too cold and I slept curled up in a ball under as many delicately placed crusts as I could build. I slept with the window open. No wonder why I'm so sore. I definitely feel the curve now. Almost a whole day needed to pass. Every normal practice done without proper gaze is now a new sport to learn. The regular movements produce pain, and access to newer parts of body are needed in order to perform simplicity. As much hatred towards everything I feel and as little as I have, I'm still controlled by the word, go. And just by happen chance a ring slides out and a spike juts forth. I slipped. Pretend plebeian throats coagulate into phlegm that needs to be shot forward sometime. Really, my time spent down and out are almost always due to my own bad indulgences, and not some general malaise. But ain't it the slick of entropy that means subsistence is never enough? You want to know why my body shuts down for more than a few contemplative healing hours a week? I get pissy, angry. The only thing I really have in my whole two worlds is explosion. Of course, that's what I want. It's what anyone would want. Ain't all this about love anyway? I said that word once before in this long line of pieces, but even then I was pushed to the limit of pressure and needed to throw any word out of myself onto anything else so I could feel its meaning. That's not a word I openly say because it's so heavy and everyone uses it so easily, but every use of that spell hurts more and more. What should I do when my want is my weak spot? I find myself in a catch-22 and curl up into a ball. That's what. You want to know what I compiled from old pieces of meat while unconscious? Some of the ones I really enjoyed had nothing to do with truth. They were made to express a moving of muscles. And some of them were simply shouted to remember memories that I couldn't find in myself. The discontent, built until the moaning of boredom was over, exaggerated out of me. Doesn't take nobody at all to act like an angry bitch who don't know how to shit up. Shit. Heard that kind of stuff doing circles as a kid, but you can't just say things like that to me. I'm cracked. I'll be able to see a healthy and a destructive end to that inkling of truth, even if I'm unwilling to ever say it. And sometimes a person makes art when reaching desperately out from their life in order to fill in a gap. And you do know what they say about creation, right? You can only write what you know. The best pieces are based on the real things. Sure, lots of people make up fake-ass husks, perfectly aligned to the tuning of the planet's position so as to appeal to the style at the time, but can't everyone feel when the truth hits? Personally, I only feel that once it has been beaten into my skull. You want a word or two? Big red boxes of poison on countertops, talks of crinkled foils before the food even got unwrapped, pats on my back when I yelled into empty air in the early morning, razors and apples. Don't I know how easy it is to slip 4 frames over a single picture real quick? There's nothing I hate more than somebody who doesn't say goodbye. Well, permesso. He's taking everything forever. Shit, what am I supposed to think when I hear that besides, okay, who knows who any of you are around here? Couriers and dandies, obviously. Obvious because at the same time they can't keep up with well-fought reckless abandon and then won't pull over a clear and present danger. Don't attack. I learned those fairy tales way before. Put your hands on me, grip me, push me forward, squeeze me, hold me back, stop me. Just fucking end me, I won't beg. Restrain me in some sort of bond if you have to, and give me I won't say it, because I do not work properly on my own. Oh? The clouds got a tarot reading one day and guided them to part. Yeah, me too. Don't I know what it feels like to make that mad drive? I am allowed to throw cards into emptiness with as much right as anyone can argue that any coming of truth would only bring more destruction. Become a king? Friend, I use that word loosely. What kind of world can you build alone? I shut down when confronted with a person that might enjoy my presence. I have that sudden fear of others when I enter rooms, like I'm more than just a grain away from the infinitesimally small, in effect. I was birthed into this by a bit stolen hand, and wouldn't they just enjoy an inactive figurehead that doesn't get to see the rulebook? I can party with grinning vampires easier than I can believe, in the perception of receiving. You could throw me to a mob to shout me to death, and I'd be more than happy to smile with them. But the second a woman touches me, I quiver. I guess this time of year makes it more appropriate to say shiver. Not out of fear. Sensitivity. Ain't that the realest diagnosis I can give myself? Touch of something unknown. Where am I right now? Just walking around at random. People are absolutely running and screaming at missing stars in the sky, wondering insurmountably where they've gone, but even more worried at the massive physical mass revealed by the absence of the light's constant radiation. I don't hear their noise. I learned how to completely block others out long ago. I'm only recently coming to the trail of trying to maintain a basic presentable balance about myself while collapsing entirely to social ammo at the same time. Balance. It don't mean nothing in this story. It's just one of the most important words I've ever kneeled in servitude to, even if I am very bad at following its flow. They really don't realize that the coming comet hit ground over a week ago, and the asteroid the doomsayers are aspiring to ascertain will be nothing more than meteor fragments in a few beats. I've been here already. Months ago, I was at this spot of total uncertainty, feeling drawn into a new dimension with almost no listening to truth. Why am I here? Dunno, but I am. I decided to, so I will. Staying true to the words you said, even if you didn't know what they meant at the time. Prophecy. What did I do? Men went to cat wraith at dawn. You ever hear a pipe donk in the middle of the night? Means the changing of the seasons is thick. Now, listen to the crash again while dreaming that the wind is standing next to it. I don't even mind the dog howling down there. He has a cayenne tooth and he gnashes up and down over waves with broken nerves. Hell, even the shuffle of cheek against cloth and the rub of ear against brim move like puffs of kingdom-sized sound blasts originating from somewhere farther than you can imagine, but heard just outside of your skull. When a low noise can't be determined to come from a ship off the near coast, or a bug chirping with middle of the morning fancy, what can you do but press down harder on the metal cuff holding felt and drive the tip into the surface? Did you hear a honk of a bird's horn? That's -1 heartbeat, buddy. Heard the herald's crest? That's a hole in your chest. Leaves sound like feet, but don't they always? It's okay if you can remember some old words. Still, more ink left soaked in the sponge, but with no way to use it without breaking the casing. Walking on balls with normal distribution of pressured hinges that are eked with minute, yet sternly forceful timing. Clothes wrapped closer with arms so zippers don't swing. Holding tempered sniffs in ribbed cage while the outward persona's organized into a file cabinet format. The knock of a door is enough to unfold anything from its clasp. It isn't always about terror, though. Sometimes the birch is just telling you left instead of right. The feeling that someone's eyes are on you, and they wish to give you a great will of their mind. Flight. Not the running kind. A very real sensation that lifts through the floor, into and through your body, twinkling senses above reason. That photo on the wall was painted 100 years before I was born. And ain't the old woman got the same look on her face? Fear, uncertainty and grim sass trapped eternally within frame, that will transport the emotional truths for as long as it exists. Don't I know a good shot when I see one? I stopped taking them because I thought they were bad photos. I saw a lot of sadness and weird emotions that people barely let out, and I was convinced there wasn't worth in them. But this horrible photo, publicly displayed, makes me see the honor in a wall of praise. Art that has weight in wearing shame without blood. It's not just choice, there is some, medium in there as well. You see Mary the Queen on her pedestal. A middle ground, I see the vase purposefully painted in the background. A talking of the past, present, and future at the current moment. The wind hastens violent. Buildings moan like giants are quarterbacking through walls. It's a ghastly sound, but feet can match its own. The kind of speckle that kicks dust into your eye, brings up geyser of wrinkles, and lucidity flows out over the falling of rain. The taste drips right onto the kisser. It's more hassle to wash the debris of dirt and aerated thorns out than struggle through their bind. What can you say about a god? Dunno. All I know is the lights are off and the whole sky just got ripped off the table. The destructive side of the goddess brewed up in a cauldron. But she isn't gonna give that stuff to me. Let's be real. I'd break anything pretty much the first chance I got. I'll ask you this. What does the fairy godmother like to wear? Everything. New clothes every day, and don't it always just look fabulous? 'Cause that bridge unironically has her fingers touching everything on this universe. Today, she's wearing a total lack of firmament by choice, and a pleb can see the underworld floating in the atmosphere of heaven. Literal. Astronomical. The wind can bring to your ear a word. A word can technically make you feel a certain way. A context will provide a world of definition to that message. The place without night, the suffering world, bodyguards feeding keybinds, 3 stringed old bustard birds, teeth on shoes, a single penny, castle toppler, poetry, history, nature. How about trying for a lucky hit? Flower smoke rooms, escutcheons over keyholes, sing-song man, cutting boards, rondelle, salted pork, the plain beat. You may be able to deny the relative worth to be offered, but you can't deny the change. Done in duty and growth, trying to face the very things held unto others in good wealth, and supplicating virtue to the tune of what has happened during the turning of this phase of our heavenly heart's holy home. If you don't like it, you will be left out. How do you throw a tart into a lady's face when all you're holding is 2 mismatched and broken props? You use some words. I love you. It is all that needs to be launched, and a foot will move forward or backwards. Kind of like a dance if there were a tripwire in front and a crumbling ledge behind. Really more like a pair of pants caught down and a crowd that laughs. I hit that trick in the face with a pie. I don't want to be here anymore, but if I walk around that archway, who knows what is there? Like standing on a landmine, not sure whether you should lift up your foot or not. Of course, slower is always quieter, but quicker serves to the demand. People overestimate how long seconds are, but I like to play with the lower quarks of those numbers. I don't think about my breath much. What I learned about it? Every gate is chained, window barred, door hammered shut, and chimney stuffed. It sounds scarier than it looks. I'm sure I'll find out. I find a lot of beauty in the process of searching the unknown, being blind, gently poking pinpricks of buttons to see their effect, forming a shape out of the bounds I find myself in, becoming habituated to a new habit, then finally seeing the facts in a stark difference from when I first felt their unknown presence. Playing a game. Okay, you want to know where everything went? You see that big cherry tree over there, way off over there? The secret garden is resting under that bark of branches, racing plume into leafy green toward the light, so high, so fast, that no nibbler can rot at it. It is a mountain to sigh on, a voice of silence talking in the desert. a reed played by the wind, found by a man dressed down in soft garment. Shit gets real, so they fuck off in any way they can because they're tired of all the nonsense, the double entendre, the emulation of true emotion, the practice of holding face, the shame in having to beg, the spit held while groveling, the harsh words of severing said out of fear, and the solitude. Or don't they wish? They let body go to extremes of waste, minds twirl to shining slings clicking, and soul never managing to manifest so as to be discarded, only to then be pressed upon in their new abode as well. What can you do, universally speaking? That's too big for me. All I do is cackle, then steal someone else's self to put over my own. Lost sight of the plot? True, real. Shoot your shot? Nah, shut down. Turn off, disconnect, unplug, then sleep for some factor of monumental half-life? Retreat? Enter a coma. Not the sleeping kind, just so you know. How did I picture this leaving when I first walked in? Well, my first moments here were spent walking through tall spear grass, looking at a bunch of wild animals, wondering if I had stepped down instead of up. The plan was to become a king. Not really, but foresight and all that mumbo. Now, every once in a while keep a lookout, and for what? Whatever was acted out beforehand, or don't you know? They call it the script. Talking to chaos gods. You certainly know the moral, no? How about a pangram to explain? Jackdaws love my big sphinx of quartz. Waltz bad nymph for quick jigs vex. Glib jocks quiz nymph to vex dwarf. Sphinx of black quartz, judge my vow. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. How quickly daft jumping zebras vex. Or you probably know it as the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Maybe not this year, but charity's patient, if a bit lousy. But that can't stop you from holding other hobbies while you wait. You can't let it. Just do something else. Create a calamity out of thin air, then run during the confusion, right? Yeah, that's what they did. Where? Who knows? That was years ago, I told you. Would I be here at the end of the line if I went with them? Bro, I just did what I was asked. I bought my freedom. I never had it before, so I guess that's a new thing to pick up. I know the right words to say, the action to follow through with. But I have trouble saying it because I don't really know the reasoning. I just know that it's right because I've done it before. Stop. Slow at the very least, but brake still. Get the fuck out of here, go, leave. Along the only road that still exists that connects to the old ways. Break the chain. You know what? I don't need the big words. Really more fair to say they aren't the words for me. You know what I need to hear? Do yourself. Sorry that my pledge is so strong that I refuse myself rest. But I need to do something else for a bit. Something like wake up and drink boiled water, eat bread, want to sleep again. Is it really so wrong to cut all those challenges off and say goodbye? No. It's okay to say goodbye, and it's okay to blame the world sometimes too. Words that I say in tutelage to someone else who can't speak them. It's okay to vegetate, listen to big humming bus, and then jerk around for a while. Just make sure what you acquired is safe, and what you left is secured. Green crystal of loose definition? Friend, he smoke signals and burnt bridges. Somewhere far gone, but having never went anywhere. Alone, but that was always the way it was, again. The psychic drawback in is enough to erode the current. You don't want that. Trust me, not right now. Just go off for a bit in a secluded sense of the sentence. If a rock sinks to the bottom of the sea, it will most likely sit there for a very long time, or at least until the trench's jaws crunch and swallow it up. If it is small enough, it may even wash up on the beach, albeit eroded into a smoother surface. How should I remember today? I'll write it into my favorite feast day memory. A compressed bedtime story to fall asleep by. I lost my dad once while sledding down snowy hills. I found him watching a vine. The sprout was drinking radiated noise, and he said something stupid and unintelligible about the names on the tags being fucked up and not wanting to live where he was. I think that was when I learned the word journey. Didn't even realize it at the time, but I already knew the other atrocity he was screaming at too. Speaking of, you want to know how to find a free $1? Go see the Butterdog Medicine Man and vomit up a jumping seed.